Hi, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum for Thursday, July. I'm a month behind. I just can't keep up on things, but we are keeping up on comics, and we're going to review some of the latest and greatest that came out this week and talk about the industry and such. So we hope you'll stick around. We'll be back in about 1 minute. Stay here, all right?
Seconds.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
How dare you!
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And good evening, everyone. How the heck are you? Welcome to this new edition of Comic Book Spectrum. And if you're watching us live or on the reruns, we appreciate you all. Please leave a comment down below or at the side, wherever, and let's have a conversation about it. We'll try to reply to everyone. And we've got a great crowd here already. And we've already got a great crowd here behind the scenes, and it makes it my pleasure to bring in the two and only Clyde Hall and Eric Hawkins.
I'm like, ooh, we got guest stars?
Yeah, it's you two. Well, we have we'll build it up here. We have the internationally published award-winning author Brian K. Morris and comic creator par excellence Eric S. Hawkins, the zombie slayer himself, and the one, the only, the gold standard, the multi-platform comic reviewer, and also star of Pulp Realities 1, 2, and 3 from StormgatePress.com. So I've done all the introductions. God, let's go home. Bye, everyone. Anyway,
I feel
everybody
like
have a great night.
I feel like Siskel and Ebert all of a sudden. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Did I miss anything in introducing you guys? It just seemed to flow.
Well, I'm an internationally selling comic book artist.
Yeah.
It's true. You are.
I've
Very
sold
much
in 8 countries, I think, now.
Excellent. That's.
I think this time is the first time in Italy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice. Very good. And Clyde, of course, you're on several platforms right now with your comic book reviews.
Right. I'm on. I'm part of DoomRocket.com and ComicsBookcase.com. Although there's some changes. I've been,
There's changes. I was going to say
there's changes coming, but I was hoping that they'd be really solidified this week, but they're still kind of up in the air. So can't really talk about it yet. But they're good things. So and also, I contributed to Major Marjorie from Stormgate Press. So. Yeah, see, ooh, stereo Margie. Look at that, Margie. Yeah.
Eric wins.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that cap, Eric.
Oh, thank you. I
Yeah,
have a stack of them over here.
I sure hope you do, because I ordered one.
Yes, you did. I had to put it on right before we went live because I hadn't put it on yet. I was like, man, it's like 100 degrees outside.
Yeah.
But it's cool in here, so, okay.
Yeah.
It is more comfortable on the head with the headphones, so.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Well, I just want one because I'm thinking in the winter, I could use a cap that actually goes over my ears. I thought that'd be a novelty.
Well, I've got my Memoirs of an Angel one.
I've ordered one of those too.
Got them from the same people. This one's lasted me, over a year now. So, I like the company that offers them, and I will probably do it again with my next campaign, next Zombie for World of Oz campaign. Maybe in a different color. I did this because Emerald City and green.
I like that.
So I might do. I might actually do a red, even though there are no ruby slippers actually in the book. That's only But red would probably look good too.
And I could also see reversing the colors because, reversing the colors. Maybe even have like a white one to reflect the silver slippers from the original book. So you could have like a whole wardrobe of this headgear.
If you could get it in yellow and have like the brick pattern on it, I don't know whether that would be allowed or not. But
well, if that wouldn't probably be really expensive. Because I could this is the area I could print in right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cindy Cap, if you're listening, contact Eric Hawkins immediately.
Hey, since we're talking about Pulp Reality and some of the things from Stormgate Press, let me give you a preview, an exclusive. This is it's not been shown anyplace else. An exclusive preview of my B-Man story for Pulp Reality number 4 coming up at the end of the year. There you go. There it is.
Okay, Hollywood. I hope you got a screen capture of that. I'll be writing the screenplay in just a minute.
If you ever wonder what it looks like,
I've got very similar notes for my next few issues.
Ted Davies is doing the some artwork for me, and he was going, "Hey, can I get a peek at what you've got written so far for the thing?" And I'm like, "Well, sure." And I held that up, and he's like, "You are not at all helpful." So I had to give him a verbal synopsis. So
yeah,
I'm sorry, Ted. I was mean to you, but I now I did it to everybody, so don't feel singled out. So.
That's okay. I was mean to him.
There you go. There's
issue 5 right there.
Yeah,
that's more than what I usually start my stories out with. No, I was mean to Ted last night on Randy Zimmerman's show, the Zimcast. So tune into that on the Raging 2 Network. And I see we have somebody in the background. Are we ready to go? Thumbs up? All right, we're going to bring in the one, the only, the creator of Amazonia, Mr. Jody McFee. Welcome to the show, Joe! Hey!
Yes, this is one of the few times that other people's stuff prevented me from being on time.
Oh, it's always someone else, I know. Damn them, they don't know what they're impeding the progress of fandom. So,
exactly.
Well, we're glad you're here. Joe, you want to quick introduce yourself? I did the introduction for these 3. You want me to introduce you too? Although I just did.
If you got something good, go.
Okay. All right. Jody McFee is an internationally published creator himself. Just had a very successful Kickstarter for Amazonia number 7, which will be out soon. And also, he is a great broadcaster every Saturday night at 10 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. He does From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, a highly respected review and art show. And you ought to tune in every Saturday because this guy is amazing. So there we go.
Yes, thank you.
How was that?
And we just got our funding. Books have been ordered. All the swag has been ordered. We're just waiting for stuff to get in before we can fulfill.
Oh, that's great. Way to go.
I don't mess around.
No, you don't, and that's good.
Wait. I do need to do one thing, but I'll probably do it over this weekend. I have to get the surveys out.
Oh, yes. Surveys are very important. Because otherwise, that's, folks, if you ever invest in a Kickstarter, send your fucking surveys in or you don't get nothing, okay?
I think I'm at 97% of my surveys have been completed.
Oh, good.
Some of the people that didn't complete them, I know who they are, though. But a couple people tricked me because you send out the surveys to each pledge level.
Right.
Well, I sent out my surveys to my digital pledge levels. I don't ask for their addresses. Why would I need their addresses?
No, good point.
But this time, since I had add-ons, some of the digital people bought the add-ons, so now I need their addresses.
Oh, well. I'm sure you could contact them individually.
Yes, I can contact them. But that's good. I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember seeing that guy's name in the shipping. Oh, he did digital because he keeps replying how excited he is to get the books. He's going to send them off to CGC and. Like, okay.
Well, nice. I'm going to get the digital and I'm going to send it off to CGC too, just to see what they can do. I don't want the signal to degrade or anything, so I'm looking forward to it.
There you go.
And I'm hoping to get at least a 9.9 on that one. So, anyway, we are here. We are prepared, and so let's brace ourselves because we've got, of course, the comments. Let's see what these wonderful people have going here. And Donna Carlene is first in the gate, takes a sip and puffs on her cigar. Thank you, kind Sir Clyde.
I showed up early and lit everybody's. I was there to available to light cigars and mix drinks.
Oh
so.
my goodness! I
was working the concession stand before you guys got here. So.
And he's pocketed all the money too, I'm sure.
What money? No money.
No money.
It's all gratis.
Oh, there we go. There we go. And Teresa Dunn, hello to you. Mwah, hope you're having a great night. Hello, Carl. Hope you are too. Everyone's saying hello. And I heard there were drinks and cigars here.
See?
There you go. That's how we build the audience. And everyone's saying hello. And just before I came in here, I was watching a video about the difference between existentialism, nihilism, and absurdism, with emphasis on the search for meaning of life. And then I came here. My brain is going to hurt now. Well, we can get. I think Clyde's good for existentialism. We're not really nihilists here, but absurdism. Your cup will runneth over. And I'll see to it. Anyway, and Eric Hawkins, I always love seeing him in our audience. Meeting good people. And everyone's giving him the appropriate amount of respect. And so we have 2 members present. I wonder how many others will be here tonight. I wonder how many CBS guys will show up. We always wonder that. And hello, everyone, from Jennifer Hawkins. Mwah, I'm here but driving, so I will be silent. Please, somebody's birthday is Saturday. Shh. Oh.
Ooh.
I don't think it's mine. I can never remember mine. So, it must be someone on the lower level. Happy birthday, Joe. Happy birthday to you. Well, I'd wish Eric a happy birthday, but let's see. No, I should do this correctly. I'd wish him a happy birthday. However, I'll be at the Valley West Mall in West Des Moines, Iowa, Saturday from 11 to 5 and Sunday from 11 to 4 as part of the Indie Author Book Expo. Please come see us. Admission is free, and I got a whole lot of books I don't want to take home, but would look splendid.
What?
Hi, Clyde.
Hi.
Yeah, there we go. Brian just knocked himself out. He did what he came to do, and he left.
And where will you be the week
I was
after
about
that?
to get ready to compliment you. It's like, see, I was about to say, see, Doc, that's how you do a great segue to you like, bloop. Clyde.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I should go. How can you miss me if I don't go away? Well, now, Eric, you asked where I will be next week. I'm glad you said something because I'll be at Heroes for Kids on Saturday the 16th. Please come see us. We've got actors W.F. Bell, Paul T. Taylor, and Karen Whitfield, who's a voice actress, and Guy Gilchrist, who's done comic strips with the Muppet Babies, and Nancy, the classic strip, plus Jim Hayes, Richard Canik, and Timothy Chasen. Come see us Saturday, July 16th, 2022. And your admission fee will go to helping one local charity and one national charity. So
I believe some people in the audience will be there too.
I'm thinking so.
Lynn Bush is going to be there.
Lynn Bush will be there. That's right. I believe Kathy Jackson will be there. Amy Hale will be there.
I think I'm supposed to be there. I signed up. Yeah.
If not, I'll give you room on my table to be there. So there. Everyone's saying hello to Jennifer and Ted Davies. Good evening, superheroes. Good evening to you, superstar. Glad to be with you last night on Zimcast with Randy Zimmerman. Please check out that show. And hello, and mocked with the laughter. And Carl says, sitting here with another shipment of cigars because I didn't spend all my money on comics. Yeah, but you see, the thing is, Carl, you have a certain amount of pleasure, but you know what? Years from now, we'll still have our comics. Just saying.
And you'll just have ashy butts.
Did Carl ever go listen to Brad Paisley's cigar song?
Ooh.
Oh, good point. Good point. So anyway, while we ponder that, hello, Joseph Morning. Hello, good to see you. He's a broadcaster. Check him out on Facebook. Well, hello there, Cindy Kep. CKOEPP.com for the best newsletter and one of the best sites on the internet. And buy her books because she's amazing. I had my YouTube mute and I was about to yell at Brian. Oops. I knew what I was doing. And what do racehorses eat? Asked Cindy Kep. Fast food. I love it. And Carl Witzman has the words of the hour. Don't forget to like. If you have enjoyed any part of this so far, and God knows you should, or you plan to in the immediate future, definitely give us a like. If you're on Facebook, give us a love. That would be even better. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. And if you have not already, subscribe to this channel because we've got a whole bunch of great stuff coming up once I get the Terrors edited. And what's the Terrors, you ask? Well, golly, I'm so glad you asked. It is this. Hold on here. See if I can get this out of here. See, you guys need to direct the show. Anyway, The Terror is coming out later this summer from Rising Tide Publications. Thank you very much. Anyway,
15 cents? I'll take a dozen.
My God, Eric, I'll give you 2 dozen at that price. My God, I just want my share. Anyway, Cindy Gap asked, why did the horse cross the road? Because somebody shouted, "Hey!" And Lissy, hey, hello, Lissy, mwah, glad to see you. Hope you're doing well tonight. And are you a horse? Yay or nay? And Fee wants to let her papa know the peaches she got are good.
Good.
Glad to hear that. Everyone's saying hello. And what type of computer does a horse like to eat? A Macintosh. That's funny. I like that. That's clever. Mm-hmm. And CBS crew, how are you? Ryan Permisson, glad to see you. Hope you're doing well. Check out the Nerd Culture channel on YouTube and please subscribe. And Ryan, that's an excellent question. I think we can answer this fairly quickly. Why do some storylines go for 5 issues instead of 6? Who would like to take that? Okay, Clyde.
I thought, because there for a while 6 was very standard. Mm-hmm. Then they started doing 5. Now a lot of the smaller companies, at least, are doing 4. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if they're not trying to split the chance of having something that isn't selling go for more issues. Mm-hmm. A matter of business principles. It's like, we want you to get the story in, and there's some, to be honest, there are some arcs that I have read that could have stood to have a 5th issue or a 6th issue. But you get the feeling that they're trying to consolidate them so that if they've got a hit, they can do more. If they don't have a hit, they can close up shop and have a completed little story arc, but not, be into it for 6 issues. And right now, we were talking before the show about paper shortages enough that I think it was Marvel said that all of their August stuff is going to be put off until September. Of course, now they kill a small rainforest every time they go to print over there. So I kind of understand that, but, others have been talking about maybe having to do the same thing. But you can't really fault them for it. But I just hope that they don't get into the habit of trying to take a 5 or 6 issue arc and cram it into 4 issues, whether it fits or not.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I'm wondering if maybe they want to have like different price points for certain readers. Let's say, for instance, if they can charge, like, say, $20, a major company like DC or Marvel charge $20 for a trade paperback with 6 issues in it, maybe they can charge $17.95 for the 5-issue set. So, that way, if somebody's got like they don't have enough for like one of the big, like when we were kids, especially some of us older ones. If you had a quarter, you could buy like a couple of 12 centers, or like later in the 70s, you could buy a 15 center, but there were no more 10 centers back then. You had to weigh how much comic you wanted for the money you had. And I'm just wondering if perhaps that's a point. So, but anyway, Joe, you had something?
I was about to get ready to say, I think you was about to get ready to hit the nail on the head here, because I'm always thinking about production. Mm-hmm. Most stories nowadays is truly not running issue by issue. It's pretty much whole story arc at one time, and that whole story arc could be anywhere between like 96 to 100 plus pages, and they break it up based upon, okay, where's a good logical break in this series that we could say, okay, here we could put a stopping point here, which makes this 36 pages. The next issue may be, 36. The next one after that might be 28. And the last would be like this great gigantic issue. It really depends on how they see that story, especially if the story is written all in one fell swoop here.
Mm-hmm. And if they run short, they can just do a page of black or 2 or 3 like they've been doing lately.
but the whole thing about doing it that way, if you break it down in issues that way, you can always add to the end when you go to graphic novel format. You can always add in what notes or what was actually cut out to make those issues. Because like I said, if they write a story that's like, let's say 120 pages, all 120 pages may not make that final cut when you break it down issue by issue.
That makes sense. Eric, do you have an opinion on this?
No, not really.
Okay, that was easy. Anyway.
I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah, we're just guessing at this point, but
that's maybe the writer's like, oh shoot, I can't get done in 5. Let me do 6.
Yeah,
that happens a lot too.
Yeah. It does, yeah, and I'd rather see them take like 5 issues because I've rather than 6, if they have like X amount of story. I for so many years in this industry, almost the last 10 or so many comics were written, for the trade. So that, you have 6 issues, half a year's worth, then you pop it in the trade paperback, and that's a whole story. And sometimes I've read this, and they could have told that whole story in 2 issues.
Yeah.
But that's when you see, like, a lot of full-page art, which helps the artist, because then they have an easier time selling a full page of art rather than something broken up into panels. Or maybe the artist just doesn't want to draw 6 things on a page. I know I get pushback from that. But thank God you weren't around during the 40s, back when we were young. They drew like 10 panels to a page, and they walked uphill naked. Both
with
ways.
no detail.
10 panels?
With no detail, yeah.
10 panels? We're talking about 12.
That's true.
We feel that page.
That's right. Oh, and Sydney Caps asks, what do you call a horse that can't lose a race? Sure bet. Oh, we love you. And Ryan Permisson, do you prefer to have all 6 issues of a certain run, or the trade, or hardcover, and why? That's a good question.
He already knows the answer to that question for me.
Yeah, we know your answer. I think for me, for older issues, I prefer all of them, whether it's trade paperback or the run of the story arc. Now, since I buy so few, it's easier for me to keep track of titles. And so many books now are, episodic without sometimes a clear end, like, say, the Action Comics or Superman Son of Kal-El, whereas you have something like one of the books I will review later tonight, which you're going to have to stick around and find out which one it is I'm sure it's going to be like a 6 to 12 issue arc, but each issue builds on the one before, so it is kind of serialized. So and the story's so good, I don't want to wait till the whole thing comes out. It's that I'm enjoying it so much, so stick around and find out what it is. So, what about you guys?
I would prefer to get the issues personally. I don't want to wait for the trade to come out. Especially if it's something I'm excited about, I don't want to wait like a whole year to get it when everybody else is reading it. Now, if it's something I haven't read before, and it's something that piques my interest, people are talking about it, I might go look for the trade then instead of trying to hunt down issues, especially if it's kind of scarce. But I prefer single issues. Easier for me to read and my attention span. So.
Well, and also I think you bring up a good point. It's like, what if you don't like the story? I've had a couple, Action Comics write the new 52 about 2.5 years in. Greg Pak was writing it. I wasn't enjoying the story at all, and I got this like 2 issues in, and I'm like, why? Action Comics is one of my guys. It's one of my faves, but I'm going, why am I paying for 4 months of books that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to enjoy? So now I'm waiting for them to come into the quarter bins. So anyway,
if I'm going to buy them, I like to get by issue, especially when I'm doing reviews like now. I buy some that I may already have in a digital format for this show, so I can show the artwork more easily and not have to have Brian go, kind of scroll through the artwork again, the pages he sent me, So I like it for the convenience of that, and the fact that if it is like, oh, I got this first issue because it was an interesting concept. Well, yeah, I don't need any more of those rather than buy. But now, I get a lot of stuff from the library in trade paperback format. And sometimes if I'm not getting, if it's something I can wait on, I like to do that. And if I like it enough, I'll get the TPB because it's easier to store something that's already all done,
Yeah.
So it kind of just depends on the purpose for, and I bought, bless you, I bought things from when, online comics, I bought things that way too. So I'm just kind of whichever matches my price and my purpose in having that particular issue. But I get a lot of number one issues right now in individual forms so that I can do shows with them. So.
Definitely, if I see a trade, like on clearance somewhere, I'm more apt to pick it up for.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I haven't read this. Let me check it out. I have 2 trades I read quite often, and it's because I don't want to open up the single comics anymore. That's Kraven's Last Hunt and Born Again.
Mm-hmm. And I get the Scooby-Doo and Batman team-ups in trade only, because like you said, it looks better, it stacks better on a shelf. I want something a little more permanent, and it just works out better for me. And I can wait a half year for those, because then I just sit down and I just luxuriate in the wonderful storytelling. Which, by the way, I think the next one is due in about 2-3 weeks. So that will be my book. That will be my book when that comes out. So now, Joe, I think it leaves you, and of course, we know where you stand on it. But do you want to state it?
I stand on you got to get the original 6, and this is the reason why, at least for me. There's been some experience with me getting for example, looking at the original issues as they were printed in issue format. When it gets to trade paperback, there were changes, and if you haven't read the original, you would never get an idea of what may have changed and what changes to the story could have made a major difference on whether or not you like it or dislike it. So it's always good to have those original issues handy to read it first and foremost here. After you enjoy the story, if you enjoy it, go ahead. Feel free to get the trade paperbacks or the hard covers and whatnot. That way, that now becomes your standard. But if that hardcover or that trade paperback version, or I'm not going to say trade paperback, if that collected version is what you get first, you have to be aware that there could be changes or additions to that book that was not a part of the original run of it. Because it's like the first thing that came to my mind was Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come, when you got the collected version, had extra stuff up in it, as opposed to the original 4 issues here. Makes a night and day difference if you read the original 4 versus that hardcover. I mean, there's so many different examples that I could point out. Exactly. There's another one. Yeah. That's another one with Captain Action. And you could get to see firsthand. It's like, even though those are reprinted issues, it's not the same as if you would have experienced it in its original format when it was first released.
It doesn't have the pulpy smell, by gosh.
It doesn't have the pulpy smell or anything to that magnitude. Another thing, another one is like, since they brought up trades, one of my favorite graphic novels is God Love Man Kills, and that has been through several different edits.
Yep.
If you have not read, either first or second printing of that book, you would not get the full experience. And even with that, it's like even the collected Phoenix Saga had changes to it.
That's true.
So, when I see a question like that, I'm up here, it's like, it's good that they're collected, but you're not going to get the same experience if you don't go after those original books.
Yeah, that's excellent points, Joe. All of you. That was very good. And I don't think I have anything to add to that. So, Ryan, I hope that that answers your question. But if any of you out there in the audience want to weigh in, please list it in the comments. And everyone's saying hello. And City Camp asks, how did the cowboy ride into town on Friday, stay for 3 days, and ride out on Friday? His horse's name was Friday. And of course, we have the enchanting Lynn Bush, Orko. That's me. Eric, Clyde, hello, guys. And Joe wasn't here at the time. So, Joe.
Keep going. No, keep going.
Okay, and and hey there, Jody McFee. You are in an awesome group. And Joe, says Ted. And hey, Lynn, says Carl. And City Camp, yes, it would be possible to do a yellow beanie with a brick pattern, even if the beanie is pre-made. Embroidery would be the way. Doing the brick pattern on the fly would actually be trickier, but I have a couple ideas. That could be like a special level. And Cindy does do commissions, so you know how to talk to each other. And Cindy asks, what do you call a horse wearing Venetian blinds? A zebra. And what street do horses live on? Main Street.
Ah.
And what did the mama say to the foal? It's pasture bedtime. I love it, Cindy. And yes, I will be there as well. Can't wait to see you guys. Can't wait to hug my evil Lynn and say hello. And we're going to have a good time at Heroes for Kids a week from this Saturday in Perryville, Missouri. Please come see us. And we got some great guests. And I have been informed as of yesterday that I will be doing a panel on writing. So, y'all tune in. Thank you. And Jennifer Hawkins will be there. So forget everyone else I read off of the poster. Jennifer Hawkins will be there. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So City asks, how does a horse from Kentucky greet another horse? With Southern hospitality. Oh, she's digging deep on this one, folks. And what do you call 144 horses in a box? A gross. And what is a horse's favorite state? Nebraska. And yes, I listened to that song, Eric says Carl.
Sophie is amused. I thought it's a funny song.
Oh, yeah. And Lynn Bush says, woohoo! Paul was just asking me if Eric's wife would be going since we have yet to meet her. Can't wait to finally meet you, Jennifer. Well, they've met my wife, so if they can get past that, they can deal with anything. Anyway, I love you, Cookie. And Nora says hi to everyone. Hi, Nora.
Hi, Nora.
Love you, Nora. Love you too, Lissy. So anyway, 7 issues for Animal Eye. There was too much story for 6. That's true. Without going into the details, I'm privy to them since I'm kind of a consultant on the book. They decided to expand the story from 6 issues to 7 on the Animal Eye miniseries. But kudos to Cindy. I haven't read the full book yet, the novel, but the first issue covers 150 pages from the novel. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell. I mean, It was perfectly, paced and everything. So definitely go to bearpublications.com and check that book out. You will be aptly rewarded for it. And we've had 2 comment dumps, so it apparently doesn't happen in the morning. And Jennifer Hawkins, I can't wait as well. Well, you'll have to wait about 9 days. Anyway, what do you call a well-balanced horse? Stable. What do you call a noisy horse? A herd animal. And what do you call a baby donkey? A burrito. And Sarah, darling, mwah, evening. I'll only be here a few minutes because I have to get up early, but hi. Hey, darling, mwah. And congratulations for why you have to get up high. Or not get up high. No.
Wow.
I got to have a vodka here. I mean, water.
I could go for a vodka lemonade.
Oh, God, yeah. Anyway, no, my strength is as the strength of 10 because my heart is pure. Anyway, Sarah, congratulations. You know why. And anyway, looking forward to hearing about the results of tomorrow. And it's a good thing, folks. And everyone, and don't forget to like, says Sarah. The Dark Mistress of the Dark Church of the Rising Tide has spoken. Unless you like the taste of the lash upon your back. And 2 minutes of Sarah time is time well spent, agreed. And everyone's saying hello. And hey there, Carl. I get to see you and your lovely wife in just over a week. Oh, that's right. They'll be at... You'll be at Heroes for Kids too, I believe. No. Though they might show up.
No.
Okay. Have fun, guys. Anyway, so I'm trying to pack the hall here.
I read it in the comments. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you guys are ahead of me. I love Cookie. I'm fond of her too. So anyway, she's cool. Oh, we just had another. My God. We're never going to get through these. There'll be no reviews. This is welcome to Nevermind the Furthermore. I guess I was right, Joe.
Yeah, you were right. Never mind the comic book spectrum.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were all these comics for nothing. And we will. That's cool. News to me, though. And hi, Nora. And hello, Nick Tockert, the brand new, newly installed host of Nevermind the Furthermore. He did in my opinion, He did a super job yesterday for his inaugural outing as host of Nevermind the Furthermore. Please tune in tomorrow and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Also, check out Nick Tockard on Nerd Bacon every Thursday on the Raging 2 Network with Luke Stone, Mike Jimmy Lorsch de Bruin, and Glenn Fleming and others. So please check out those shows. Nick Tockard is amazing. He is. And my Brian already looks relaxed. Anyway, no, I promise. No. Here, this was full. This was full when I got here.
Oh, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. I've been doing pretty good. I've got 2 fans on me, and we hope to have the AC in tomorrow. So Brian may not die on the air before your very eyes. I know it takes some of the suspense out of this, but anyway. And wait, Carl, you're going to Heroes for Kids, aren't you? Asks Lynn Bush. I think he should. And Sarah says, I bought a Kindle copy of a BKM book this afternoon, Volcana. God bless you. I prefer physical form, but I totally have been wanting to get it instantly. I'm leaving it. That's all I'll say. But yeah.
My mate.
And Carl Wisman says, not sorry, just Silicon this year. Well, you'll be, and we prefer to think of it as cerebral flatulence, but no, you were just eager to meet Carl and Donna, and I can't blame you. Yeah, and everyone's saying hello, and let's see, here we go, and well, damn, okay, I still got you a Silicon then, I just have to wait a few months. I get a hug. If you negotiate it properly. Never mind. And I could have a wake-up high because of no testing. That's true. That is possible. And sure, I'll hug such a great fisherwoman, says Carl Witzman, and you're suffocating from the weight of the dumps on you. That's true, but we are within 3 of catching up here. And, oh, Nick, I won't be able to be in the chat tomorrow morning. Well, you can show up twice, and on Monday. And I caught yesterday's Nevermind the Furthermore on the rerun. Nick did a fabulous job, says Cindy Kemp. Agreed. That's the man took it over, and he's making it his show. That's what I want. Yay. Yay. I want you people to forget the original host. He was a hack. And Volcana 2 just saying, yeah, I know, Lynn. I've been hearing it. Anyway, but actually, if you subscribe to my Patreon account at patreon.com/Brian K. Morris, I don't have the card up. I'm having to do it from memory. God help me. So anyway, please go to my Patreon account, and we are serializing Volcana chapter by chapter, and in a week or so, I'm hoping sometime this week, we will have chapter 2. Chapter 1's already up. And already had that in mind, says Sarah. And good evening, Comic Book Spectrum. I hope Captain Scarlet can keep the Mysterians away. And thank you for the kindness, and you will be missed, Sarah. Definitely. We always miss her. And yes, Nick did spectacular Wednesday morning. Didn't even miss me. I'm so glad because he was so good. Anyway, we have caught up with the comments, and I realized I forgot to. Let's see. Here we go. I've got a thing I want to put up here. Let's see. No, that's not it. That's not it. And oh, that's about me. No, I don't want that up there. And here we go. This is our disclaimer, so it sounds like we really know what we're doing. So anyway, but we know better. So anyway, we are caught up. So I think, is that the phone I hear ringing?
I think somebody's playing. Oh,
I think they're right. Hey, let's see who's on the line there.
Welcome to Comic Book Phone. Please choose carefully as our options have changed. For Strange number 2, please press 1. For 8 billion genies, number 1, press 2. For Something's Killing the Children, number 18, please press 3. For Hit Me number 2, please press 4. For Guilt, that's GILT, period, number 2, press 5. Please select now.
All right, and we will give everyone ample time to vote in this one. Oh, here. Okay, I should probably post mine. Okay, there we go. Make it legal there. And there's at least 3 other networks that agree with me. So anyway,
hey, why is Jennifer typing when she's driving?
She might be at a stoplight.
No, she's on the interstate heading to Lake of the Ozarks.
Oh, okay. Then maybe she doesn't care about the other drivers on the road. That's valid. So anyway, and we have, let's see, here we go. We'll go down the row here. Eric Hawkins votes for 5. Nick Tucker votes for 2. Lynn Bush, My Evil Lynn votes for 1. Donna Carleen, check out her work and Carl Witzman's on Lulu.com, is a 2. Brian K. Morris, what a hack, he's at 5. Jennifer Hawkins is at 5. And actually, she's a 10. Cindy Kep, 1. And good night, Sarah, and your booty. Okay.
That just out of nowhere.
It just, yeah, I believe this is what hi kids, the word for today in Sesame Street is non sequitur. And Carl Witzman votes 4, Lissy votes 5, and Jennifer Hawkins says, I have the speaker function, I just push a butt.
Okay.
Well, that sounds even worse.
This show has taken.
But you're driving by yourself.
We were doing fine till you put up the disclaimer at the bottom of the screen, Brian.
I know. This just went to hell after I got us legal. So, oh my God, dear Lord. And so yeah, I'm marking those 2. We're going to deal with them later. That's so I can. And pushing butts is fun, says Lissy. And
my
hang up and drive, says Lissy.
She told me when she left. She said, "I listened to the show on the way down there." I was like, "Are you wanting to fall asleep?" What?
Oh, and Donna's saying I was thinking she often pushed a button. Well, I guess you know her better than I do. And Jennifer, was it Sarah? And are we getting behind again? Apparently some people are getting behind, and lots of it. So anyway, oh, please, God, vote, everyone. We'll start with the first review. Yeah, I've never thought I'd say this, but Eric, could you bring up the level of discourse here?
Of course I can.
Can I say one thing? We had a first right there.
Yes.
We didn't take this thing off the rails. The chat did.
That's a good point. It's not our fault this time. So, Carl, I chastise these people appropriately. And, of course, Brian is the butt of many jokes. And that's what happens, says Jennifer Hawkins, when you can't proofread what you're sending. I think it's more sending out your, checking your Freudian slips is what it is. But we need to end this posterior haze. Oh, dear God. Anyway, and Cindy is voting for number 6.
Oh, so she's doing the Chicago vote.
She's doing the Chicago vote, yes.
She voted twice.
Was there a 6?
Yeah.
Oh, she voted twice, yeah.
I voted 3 times, so okay, folks, behave now for about 5 minutes. Yeah, Carl is telling you don't type. Anyway, and you know how well that works. Anyway, so we have the one, the only, the erudite, the masterpiece theater of independent comic reviewers, Mr. Eric Hawkins here. Oh, save us, Eric.
Hey, I'm going to review a book, but first...
Oh, wait a second, we have a comment. How short is her Freudian slip? And behave. Like what? Take it away, Eric. And may God have mercy on your soul.
So, as you know, I do a comic book, and my books have come in the last 2 weeks. I did all the main issues came in last week, and my hardbacks came in this week, all damaged. But
yay!
Here they are, but they're damaged. Anyway, want to show this. This is the trade paperback. You got a forward by Mr. Clyde Hall.
Ooh.
And in the back.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
now, if they want to look at it, who knows?
That's the scratch and sniff page, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. So, first, I forgot about this. So I got a crowdfunding book in the mail today.
Oh, nice. Oh.
So I won't show what it is, but it's dinged up.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Yeah, so but it's okay.
I will want to know which one that is, of course.
Yeah, I don't think it's anyone you know, personally.
Okay.
Could be, but what I am going to review is Beware the Eye of Odin by Image.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And going into this, I started looking at their solicitation on Image Comics website, and I didn't realize that this is from the same guys that did Vinyl.
Ah.
Really?
Which is a totally different type of story for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's by creator Doug Wagner and Tim Odlin as the artist, with colorist Michelle Madsen. It brings you a tale of Vikings, trolls, frost giants, and Valkyries. But the Valkyrie seems to be a lunatic.
Nice.
There's a Viking prince. He finds the Eye of Odin after he slays a frost giant. And the weird thing is, there's no fight. You just see the frost giant's head on the ground in front of him. Then later you find out he had a fight with him. But he has one of his friends is going to go on the quest with him to go return the eye, because there's a curse if you find the eye and you don't return it to its true owner, which is not Odin, it's a frost giant that you have to go bring it to one.
Yeah.
You will die. And his friend is this big burly dude, which is kind of cool, but he's only got one arm. His other arm's a little twiggish. He was cut off at one time and just kind of started to wither away. But he makes a weapon out of a chain and a anvil, and he just swings that around like crazy. So he decides to go on this quest. His friend goes with him, the prince, because he had promised his father he'd look after him. And then there's this girl outside the village gates that wants to go with him, who tells them that she's a Valkyrie, and she's been bestowed that by Odin himself, and they just tell her she's nuts.
Yeah.
She just she wears like a little cape made of feathers.
Wow.
And which was cute, So they don't let her go, but she ends up showing up anyway. Then there's some trolls and a giant spider. Oh, that's just a little spider. Looks like a giant. Some trolls that are watching for the Eye of Odin through their little magical cauldron there. And they're going to hunt down the prince and his little crew. And really, not a lot happens in this issue. But the Valkyrie does show back up riding a giant pig.
Nice.
A battle swine.
Oh. Very cool.
Which they end up eating. Have some bacon.
Battle bacon.
Battle bacon. Oh. And this is how they kill it. He takes his anvil on a chain and smashes it in the head.
Tenderizer.
Which I thought was cool. Other than really nothing happens in the story. You find out that he's got to return the Eye of Odin. He now has his little team of friends, because the Valkyrie and the lunatic Valkyrie who thinks she's a Valkyrie that isn't a Valkyrie shows up. And then they go into the woods, because they didn't want to go in the woods at night, because that's when the trolls come out. So they wait till the morning. Here's a little. The Valkyrie also has a mouse that talks to her. But you never see the mouse talking, just her talking to the mouse, which kind of emphasizes how crazy she might actually be.
And it makes her happy if you look at that expression.
She's happy.
Weird. Yeah, that's a weird ass happy expression of talking to
Yeah.
While they're in the woods, they do run across the Hundra folk, which it's just this cute little guy, on the road. He's barely as tall as a mushroom, and they think he's cute and stuff. Then all of a sudden, there's a bunch of them. And they're going to steal the eye because they have apparently a poison venom. So they steal eye, and they're going to have to get back from them. And that's kind of how the story ends. And it's cute. It's okay.
What's the
Seems a
name
little
of
long. I'm not going to throw it because I will give it a second shot. But I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't something that's going to grab you and make you want to buy it. Just okay. Art's good. Story's just. I really did like Vinyl. I was disappointed after I read that, and I didn't know that was the same writer. Which has lowered my score now because of that. It's just getting a 5 out of 10. That's it.
Wow.
I won't highly recommend it. I won't recommend it at all. If you like fantasy, you might like it. Maybe not. But I'll try it again. I want to see where it goes if it picks up, but otherwise, 2 will be my limit on that one.
Wow.
That's it. I mean, 5 out of 10. I can't really say too much about it. Positive other than there's some cute elements, and maybe the Valkyrie end up really being a Valkyrie in the end. Probably.
Wow. I don't know what to say after that.
She won't really be crazy, I'm sure. I don't know. I was reading it. I just thought it'd be cool. And I was reading it. I was like,
It had a lot of good stuff in there.
I know.
It had good elements. It has some elements there.
It has some elements that could probably
yeah.
make it good. It's such a slow build up to anything happening. I mean, you don't see this fight where he gets the eye at all. I mean, he talks about, you see this head laying there. You don't know how that happened. A few issues or pages later, he does mention, well, didn't you see me cut off the guy's head? No, we didn't.
What part of the narrative? What narrative is better for not showing any action, just having the journey, and excising that part? That's an odd choice to start with, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd think that, starting, because you show the giant head there. My first thing I'm asking myself, well, what is the giant head and how to get there?
Mm-hmm.
And you figure it's a giant head. There has to be like an epic story behind it. That's something I find when I look at a lot of high fantasy from new authors. It's like, well, we had this battle that raged bloodily for 20 years, and it wiped out half of the people on the continent until they called up the giant demon. And now we have 2 people sitting at a campfire roasting beans. You're missing the important part.
They weren't roasting beans. They were having battle bacon.
That's right. That's right.
Battle bacon.
We have battle bacon now. I swear to God. Yeah, Nick Tucker's got
Then they're going to go
battle bacon to go with his nerd bacon every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Anyway, Lynn, he is. And Lissy will take a damaged one and my regular one. How much are damaged ones? Sweetheart, we're all a little damaged here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, is the Valkyrie?
I might have already drawn some rabbit in one of the barely damaged ones.
There you go. And is Nick Tockert wants to know, is the Valkyrie red or cybernetic? Wait, wrong show. And he wants him some anvil flare.
Flail.
I like
flail.
that.
Flail, yeah.
And flail.
Flail, rather. Yeah, flail. Yeah, lens flare. That's J.J. Abrams. And Illusionist Jake Lindsay, it sounds like you've had a rough day. He's been dealing with a troll today, made a threat to you and family, so we had to call in 3 departments. Do be careful out there. And wow, good thing that the girls are busy coloring and didn't see that. That's brutal, says Lissy. And yeah, Lissy, I'm traumatized. And I'm older, says Carl Witzman. Poor man. I can hear him. He's running off to therapy even as we speak. And yeah, we're all sorry you have to deal with that, Joe. Seriously. And that is my kind of crazy, says Nick Tucker. It sounds like we've got a fan of the comic. And talking with mice isn't crazy if they're your friends. So, 3 miles from you and has a criminal record? Well, it happens, Jake. We're not going to read any more of that. We're on comics, okay? And make sure you keep everything so you have a record of it so we'll let you on order protection and stuff is rough, yes. And as a Nordic pagan, says Donna Carleen, and she is, I'm not impressed. Grant's Beowulf is much better. Well, Grant has gotten higher reviews on this show.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I thought, well, I'll review this, and Donna might like it, but I didn't even like it.
Oh man. And he's like Mikey. He'll read anything. And Crazy Valkyries make life good. Just saying.
Is he? Is he truly like Mikey?
Well, maybe. And exactly, Donna. Cinderella talked to mice, and she got a happily ever after. And Cindy Cap is out of her battery. She'll catch the rerun tomorrow morning. Cindy Cap, thank you for being here, hon. Thank you for the jokes. And CKOEPP.com. Cindy provides a lot of service to this community. I would like everyone to please go to Amazon.com or BearPublications.com and buy something from Cindy because she's amazing. Nick Tucker says, if he actually didn't do the action twist, is he an imposter? Well, I guess we'll never know because Eric ain't buying it.
No, he said he did the action because he brings out an axe that weighs nothing to cut a twig off a tree to brag about how easily he can swing it, and he tells his buddy, "Didn't you see me chop off the giant's head with this axe?" Mm-hmm. But he never says he did see it. Maybe he didn't.
Oh my goodness! So there is something to stick around for. An independent comic books rule. Right arm. You are so right, Nick. The best stuff is being produced independently. So anyway,
that's for sure.
Damn right. And in bruised hardcover, available today, operators are standing by. And so I guess this means everyone who has not voted in the extravaganza that is the Comics Phone, please cast your vote right now. And we're going to give you...
I'm going to give you some extra time because I'm going to comment about what was just said about showing no action in the very beginning, because even as a writer, I kind of question that. There's certain actions you have to show, and then there's other actions that it's like, okay, you set the stage, giant head, person saying it's like, hey, I did X, Y, and Z, and you move forward.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, there got to be some type of epic flashback where the storytelling fails.
Yep.
The end, it fails.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because again, why bring it up? Why bring up the fact that you killed this ice giant for no apparent reason other than the fact that you got it? You can just say, hey, I got the orb and this, that, and the other, and be like, all the other stuff doesn't matter. And then come later on down the line, oh, by the way, I killed this ice giant.
Yeah, or even just have the ice giant in the background and, say, I've just slain the ice giant. Look at the eye I got, and hopefully come back later to it. But you need... it's like they taught us in books or any sort of prose writing. Joe, you can quit listening for a few seconds. Yeah, thank you. But anyway, but no, that they say you should start with the action first, especially in pulp style writing. That I just finished one of the few mainstream books I've read in the last couple of years, Ready Player One, and it's kind of like a lot of Stephen King's work in that the first, call it 60 pages, are lead up. It's immersing you in the world, and if they do it right, you don't complain. But I remember reading a romance in the 70s by Barbara Cartland, or trying to, and she started out with a page-and-a-half description of someone's dinner. Some's hoi polloi dinner, and let's just say that when I threw all those issues of Checkmate across the room, I've been practicing for decades. Okay, that's just what I did with the damn thing. So, it is a matter of how you want to start out. But yeah, I think there's a lot of. I think especially for a series that is starting out, I think it is optimistic in this market today to be launching a comic and expecting that you will have a second season, so to speak. Unless you're a Neil Gaiman. Or unless you're a Grant Morrison, then it's kind of a given. But otherwise, I think it's a risky proposition. Yes, Joe.
I almost want to kind of disagree to that to a certain degree, and that certain degree only comes back down to one thing.
Right.
If you have the money to make it, you don't worry about stuff like that.
Well, that's true.
When you have the money to make the book the way that you need to make the book, you do it however you feel is best. It's not until that money starts running short that you have to start thinking about, am I really getting, giving people their bang for their buck before I could keep going? And that's when all the other stuff happens. But thinking about how he's telling this story, it's just like, oh, up here, it's like, even when I think about my first issue of Amazonia, I thought about the actions first. And then how am I going to set this thing up? Because I have to set all this stuff up for this epic, battle. Well, I shouldn't say battle, but this epic confrontation that's going to happen at the end where I know I'm going to cut it off to keep people interested. So now up here, it's like, okay, I know how this is going to run. I know how everything is set up. I'm taking you, step by step through the whole process of a breach. And people up here, it's like, how do you know how to breach a building? It's like, I'm former military.
Yeah.
That's how I know. That's how I know. And then it's up here, it's like, but that's, it's like, that's too accurate. It's like, but that's how a breach is. It's like, you just don't, go guns blazing, breaking down doors. It's like, no, you putting people here, you're putting people there. Everybody's, you pretty much surrounding the whole building. And it's like, it's synchronized. You have to time it. Once you go in, it's like, everybody goes in at one time. That way you have everything covered. And how I did upstairs, downstairs, and all this other stuff. I had to think all about all that first. And then after I did that, it's like, write the story behind it. Write the characters. Why the characters are doing this. Why did this one character have apprehension? Why does the main character have to prove herself? All this other stuff makes it flows a lot better. So when you get to that action, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I hate comic books where it's just like you got action that doesn't make sense because the story taking you somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that completely. Good point, Joe. Good point. And
Okay.
let's see
it's
here.
Time for the winner. Unless we get more.
Well, Donna is voting twice. Number 2, she's voting Chicago style. And yes, I've not read the Lion Guard, Jake, but also don't forget, what is it, the White Lion? That's what the Lion King is based on. So anyway, Nick Tockert says, I have only one flung book, Stephen King's Cell. Okay.
I have not read that.
I haven't read that one either. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And I also flung a Batman book from the 80s by Craig Shaw Gardner. It was a Batman pastiche, it was a paperback, and it was really good, but then you got to the last page, and they had like about a half dozen plot elements dangling. And so he wrapped each one up in one paragraph each. And I felt so cheated by that ending. I've still got that book. I am keeping it only to remind me how not to end a book. And to remind me of that author, because I'm really loving this story. This is a superb story. And I'm thinking, I need to find more from this guy. But that one page, and I'm like, I never want to read another word by this idiot ever again. So.
Was it him or was it the editor that made him just end everything?
That's a good question, too. I don't know.
So if you like the entire thing up to that, it sounds like maybe he had other plans to keep going with some other stuff. Maybe the editor goes, nah, you're done. Let's finish it all here.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen before. And Jake, go to Wikipedia and look up the Lion King. Yeah, there we go. And there we go. And Jody McFee from John Celestri, the great John Celestri. Jody McFee, I know that I'm not reaching very many people, but I'm creating a story I am compelled to tell. Also, I'm doing everything myself. And John, that's the one thing, and I don't think I'm going too far on the limbs to say each story that we all tell, and all of us here are storytellers, all 5 of us in this conversation at the moment, and many people in our audience, we tell the story as best we know how. And every decision that we make in crafting that story is a personal one. And, and all 5 of us could get the same story, the same basic plot line. And I guarantee all 5 of us would probably have 7 different ways to start that story. So it's an individual, and I don't believe there is such thing as a wrong answer in this one. But anyway, And wow, Craig Shaw Gardner usually does a better job. Well, that's what I've heard, but I will never know, Carl. And he came highly recommended. I was just sorely disappointed in how he chose to finish it. And it could be he had a word count. And he found himself pushing, and it may have been a deadline, and we don't know what's going on, but that's how I felt about his books. Nick Tucker said, you know what can help with fight choreography? Playing the scenario out in an RPG style session, right, Joe?
That's his way to tell me to get the module finished to bring out.
I usually go downtown St. Louis and find some bums.
Send your letters of comment to Eric at Sorndorf.
I take a sword, I throw them a sword, let's go!
And he gets his little camera out, his little phone, and starts taking pictures. Or he could watch the Historical Fencing Guild every Friday at 8 p.m.
use my webs and whip it up in the corner, then...
I hear that works. And Nick, I'm not going to read the answer there. I want him to look it up himself. So there we go. But Nick, you're correct. Yeah. And yeah, we have several Gardner books, and I've liked them all. Well, like I said, this was my first one, and you know what they say about first impressions. So
I need a Gardner book because we just haven't been able to do it all.
The most lasting one.
Yeah, exactly. So, Joe, do we have all the votes in?
Oh, all the votes are in, and it's a clear winner.
All
like
right.
I just gave the stragglers just an extra bit of time to vote just in case it does swing something, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So tonight's book is from Ahoy Comics, and we're going to continue on the adventure from issue number 1, which is going to be Guilt number 2. That's the one this week here. And that's the unadulterated cover without the trademark, because they normally do that on the back cover. I'm beginning to see in most Ahoy Comics here. So
I like that.
Yeah,
I do too. It reminds me of the old Gold Keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the early days when they would publish not quite a virgin cover, but with minimal trade dress on it. That was always kind of cool.
Now, just to give you an idea, Guilt number 2, it is written by, well, I actually got different writers in this issue here. 3 different chapters to it. Well, actually, it's 3 chapters all in one issue here. So we have Alyssa Whitney on the first part of the story, which is chapter 2. Then we got Robert I'm not going to pronounce it. Just get a pencil and paper handy, because the last name is spelled J as in Joy, E as in Edward, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, H as in Henry, O as in Oscar, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward, and K as in Kevin. And the last story is done by Brendan Mallory. Each story has its own illustrator here. For the first story, we have Morissette, and lettered by Rob Steen. The second one is illustrated by Ed Canto, and the last one is by Charlie Sam. So for those who have not been paying attention, we did issue number 1 here on the show. If you haven't watched that review, pause right now. Go and watch the review for issue number 1. Makes it easier for you to understand exactly what we're going to be talking about in issue number 2. We'll be right here when you're finished. But for those who have been keeping up on the scorecard, let's go ahead and go into it right away. We immediately start out where we left off at the end of issue number 1. So they're back in 1973, good old 1973, after both of them going through the door at the exact same time. And it's pretty much the exact same scene from when issue number 1 starts off at. We have the main character about, in her wedding gear, and the assistant back as a 13-year-old. And then she's trying to figure out, well, how come I a kid again, and everything to that magnitude after stepping through the door. It's like, what is actually happening? And then, she's kind of making her, make her spill the beans and everything about everything, because she thinks that she would slip some type of hallucinogenic or something that was so psychedelic and everything. It's like, and then she's up here. It's like, no, you got to be tripping. This is not time travel. There's no such thing as time travel. we did not go back in time. And she's like, pretty much you did. Pretty much you did. We're back in time and everything. And this is where things gets weird. So they're kind of arguing everything here, and then her friends come back and start talking to her. It's like, oh yeah, you already told us about everything. It's like, we know that. It's like all four of us are time travelers. We come back, we come back here and there every so often. It's like, I have already made mention of everything. So what they did from that point is that they go back in time even further, where they was in all of this discussions and everything from the first time that they started talking about when she first revealed about the whole thing about time traveling and everything. And then it speeds back up to 1995. And then as she got older to 1996, and she wasn't being all that successful as far as being a writer and whatnot. And eventually she leaves the letter that explains that, yes, all of us was a part of this guild of time travelers and whatnot. So everything came full circle for her friends that was there in 1973 and how they eventually find out. Because now she told her in what we consider the present. So she eventually goes back to the past, and now she understands everything that's going on at that point in time. However, because both of them went through at the same time, something weird happened to the friend, and then she got knocked back into 1997. She's no longer back in the past with them, and she's trying to figure out, no, it can't be. It is like, why? It's like, how this happened. It's like, how did I get booted out of 1973? So she doesn't know how they got booted, but the reader knows based upon the rules that was on that door, because two people went through, most likely is trying to make adjustments. So with the other friend being gone, it's like now they're still trying to figure out what to do and everything, and how everything seems to be crazy. And the main character's like, no, we just got to go on about our regular business and whatnot and everything. And then the so-called helper was up here like, well, what are we going to do? It's like, well, hand me a cigarette. I'm going to go about my life as well. It's like, well, you don't understand. It's like, it's time travel. There's certain rules about this that you have to adhere to and everything. And then as soon as she's about to get ready to smoke the cigarette, her mother shows up, and it's like, now she has to like really relive her teenage years all over again. So so now the adventures take place in 1973 and trying to understand everything that's going on based upon all the events in 1973. And, being that she's older, that she's traveled back, is now in her older mindset. She's now, correcting the remorse and stuff that she had for a lot of things that had happened and whatnot. So now she finally meets up with the guy that she was supposed to marry and everything like that. They're up here getting into like that whole standoffish type deal and everything. And then all of a sudden, the guy that she liked once before, the helper that was in issue number 1, the guy that she had a crush on before shows up again. So everything is coming full circle from issue number 1. And they're up here, get into a side conversation and everything and whatnot. So now, they're up here, the main character is like going through the motions again about, her life and everything to that magnitude. And then she decides to go ahead and pull almost like took the tickets and played this whole runaway bride type deal, leaving the helper there to kind of like fend for herself with her so-called friend from back in the day, from when she was smaller. So now they're up here, enjoying their time together and everything. And one thing led to another, and then it flashed forward to 1995 again. So in 1995, you have this one lady going to a fortune teller and everything, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and it turns out it's a major trick by this fortune teller trying to tell this whole thing that everything is out of whack. The whole time stream is out of whack because of the simple fact that two people went through this one portal, and nobody understands what really is going on up to this point. So it flashes back to 1973 with the whole conversation about the helper and everything, and then her mom ended up talking to the sleazy guy as the helper was saying. They kind of like hit it off and whatnot, while the other lady who hired her to help her in the apartment is about to get ready to get on an airplane to go and have like her adventures elsewhere and deal with everything else. So the timeline had adjusted. It adjusted to the point where it is not easily repairable because so many things had happened in that one short time span because two people went through the door at the same time. So they're about to get ready to have this one big adventure and everything. And the timeline is really trying to bring everything back together where the so-called helper and our main character still have to, come back together to go back for everything to, be A-okay at this point. Now, mind you, the main character technically had already died based upon the one flashback from the friend that got booted out of 1973. So, the so-called husband is trying to get to the airport to try to stop everything from happening and whatnot. They're up here, it's like about to get ready to get on the plane, and then we have another flash forward where she get diagnosed about her her treatment and everything, and about like, yeah, she's going to eventually die, which comes back down to the rules of that portal. If you remember, the thing that was on that portal as far as the rules is that you can't constantly time travel to eventually evade your death. So now we have to deal with that aspect now, because now that she knows that she dies, she's, going back in time, not to relive life to the fullest, but to avoid her eventual death. So she's restarting her timeline over and over and over and over and over again, getting different results when she comes back. Because if according to the rules, you could go through the portal, I think you could only go as far as 7 years before you have to come back. I have to pull out issue number 1 before I can show you the rules again, but everything is coming to a head if you paid attention to issue number 1. So far, a lot of the foreshadowing in issue 1 is coming out here in issue number 2. So after it's all said and done, the so-called fiance gets into a car accident and everything. And then we comes back to 2017 and dealing with what would be the helper now after things have changed and everything. And she's, dealing with all the different stress and everything that's going on in her life. And it just seems like all these different little mini stories are happening and whatnot. However, because of that accident and everything, it looks like the main character took off and she's off on another adventure at that point. And they're at the point of no return as far as the timeline is concerned here. and it stops right there. So with everything bouncing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, we see that a lot of the Guild of Independent Lady Temporalists, that's what Guild stand for. The whole thing about that portal is going to wreak a very, very nasty end if something is not done as up to this point. So pretty much it opens up the door as far as how is this timeline going to get restored and what's going to be done to help everybody fix everything, especially for the extra individual, which was her helper before she passed away. What's going to end up happening to her, because technically she's not new to any of this. All of this stuff she's seen for the first time, and she was never made aware of the rules. So the timeline is messed up. The person who owned the original apartment in issue number 1 is now about to try to be on the lam and whatnot. And this other individual is stuck in 1973 and have to pretty much relive her childhood, not knowing the rules of time travel. It makes for a good mystery, but at the same time, it's a little bit heavy on foreshadowing and getting a lot of the messages mixed up if you don't follow it correctly. And like I said before, if I haven't paid attention to the rules of issue number 1, and that's the major key to the reason why I want you guys to go back and look at the review for issue number 1. I didn't take too much time with those rules that was on the door, but now that one panel was the key thing to what's going on in issue number 2. I do have issue number 3, so that's the reason why I'm not going to say too much more. There's more stuff that happens. So if you want, I'm probably going to end up doing issue number 3. I'm probably going to be on Comic Book Phone next week. So if you guys want more of this and find out more about what's going to end up happening to them, make sure that you vote for it next week. But for issue number 2, for what it did, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's not the cleanest storytelling at all, by no means, because it jumps so much. But because it jumped to set up what's really going on internally with each individual character and why this stuff is happening the way that it is, it makes it for a nice little romping time travel adventure without being overly action packed. It's like they're not going to fight with anything. They're not trying to do, they're not trying to, stop the monster of the week or anything like that. This is almost like, individuals with 2 different lifestyles, one knowing what's going on and the other one just happened to stumble upon something, trying to figure out what to do next based upon the happenstance. And the fact that the main character couldn't come clean to the so-called hired help, says a lot about her character. So it's going to be interesting when we get to issue number 3. But that's the reason why I mark it down to a 7, because it could have been a lot cleaner storytelling in the long run. And I hope that you guys enjoy it. If you want, go ahead and pick it up. If issue 3 is already out, so we're already 3 issues in. I have issue number 3. I just don't have it sitting here right next to me as of right now. But Guilt is already out. The first 3 issues are out. I think issue number 4 will be out later this month, towards the tail end of July. So that's my review for the evening.
All right. Cool. Excellent.
Wow.
I mean, this book,
I gotta keep up.
This book, to me, it was confusing. When you start looking at all the different moving parts of it until you realize, oh, this is foreshadowing this, and that was foreshadowed here. And it's like, so much of a jigsaw puzzle, and the fact that it's not one person writing all of this, it's different people writing in it, and you have to put the jigsaw together, the puzzle together in the right way to understand it.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. Yay. And we have a couple comments. Nick Tucker referring earlier, the Historical Fencing Guild, it's more legal than bum fights.
Are bum fights illegal?
Yes.
Oh, now you tell Eric.
I take the Tito's with me.
Well, you know, if you're hosting the party, you got to bring the drinks, right? And different timelines can be tough to write, says Carl Wisman. That is very true. And Jake Lindsay knows what Kimba is. Good. All right. Again, thank you, Joe. And I guess it's my turn now. So here we go. So and Joe's taking some of Eric's alcohol there, apparently. I don't blame him. Anyway, hi, folks. Anyway, we've got a whole bunch of books to talk about tonight. There's one I got a special cover. I don't normally buy variant covers unless they're really good. And this one just appealed to me. I love the bright colors and I love the theme. And this is from Action Comics that we reviewed last week or so. Interior's still good. And this is by Derek Charm. So
is that Superman logo supposed to be on the flag at the bottom?
Well, it's a Super Pride thing.
No, the logo is supposed to be physically on that flag because the flag is folded over, but the logo isn't.
That's true. Well, that's a good question, Eric.
It takes an artist's eye to recognize that.
Yes,
I got it the first time around. I was like, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, pretty colors.
Well, that was added after it was done.
Yeah,
probably, no doubt. Good eye there, Eric. So we give it a -28 for marketing. Anyway, and of course, the new issue of the Monkey Prince came in. 2 more issues after this, and I'm loving this series. I seriously am. We are seeing the growth of a hero, and the interactions he's had with Batman and Robin were priceless. And now we are finding out that the Monkey Prince's real-life parents are working for Black Manta, and there's a big, and we have a little bit of the origin of the original Monkey Prince himself, the father, a little reference to Monkey Prince #0 with Darkseid, and all kinds of terrible things going on when the spirit of
Black Manta looks sad.
I know, he's an unhappy little villain. Aww. Anyway, but he's telling everyone, beware Atlantis for today. Black Manta attacks as he harnesses the Silver Horn King, which I'm leaving that one alone after all the butt talk tonight. But anyway, if you're a kaiju fan, we got what you need here in this magazine. And of course, the Monkey Prince has a couple of guest stars, Aquaman, and the role that Bruce Campbell was born to play. So, and we have some icky creatures at the bottom of the sea. We have the those nasty teeth critters from the Aquaman movie, and just all kinds of great action going on, great artwork. Not going to reveal the ending to you because it is awesome, but definitely, as usual, Monkey King does not disappoint. So this one is getting a, we'll give it a 9.5. 9.5. Simply because we've got other books and we don't want to diminish their importance. And plus it makes you think that I'm not blindly loving everything I read.
BK, remind me to rant after we all done here because you reminded me of something to talk about.
Great. Anyway, no, it's another Saturday night for Joe. No, okay, Joe, I will remind you. And we also got Dark Crisis #2, and I think this is kind of like a design thing. Why does Titan's Tower look like a 2? like a Roman numeral 2. But anyway, this is a fight between the supervillains and what's left of the superheroes, the potential new Justice League, as the other Titans are taken hostage by the Injustice League, and it's a fight. Who's going to fight to save him? Nightwing versus the newly revived, resurrected Deathstroke the Terminator. And we find out that Beast Boy just took a bullet to the brain because Deathstroke wanted to know if he had human organs or not, so he shot him in the head to see if he has a brain. But according to this, he'll live, but keeping with the theme of the
it might be like that X-Men book I reviewed last year where the one character got shot in the head, but you found out his brain was in his butt.
And I think Beast Boy has proven from his past behavior that very well could be again, Eric. But anyway, there's a nifty little fight between the two, and of course Dick offers himself up to be shot to save the others, but of course someone saves him. And he goes, "You got your dad's timing, buddy." So anyway, a fight ensues, and then we get a guest visit by the cyborg Superman. And of course, new orders come in from the bad guys. Superman and the cyborg and Hank Henshaw have a dust-up, but the other cyborg intervenes and basically stomps Hank Henshaw in the skull. So hopefully he only broke half of his brain. And then we go out into space where we get to see Kyle Rayner get rescued by Hal Jordan and the new Green Lantern. And that's where the book sets up the twist ending. And also, Hershey's has a new line of chocolate bars with the new superheroes on it from DC. And there's imprints on it also. Save all these things. And send these to CDC and CGC and see if they will slab them for you. They keep them fresh. So anyway, I'm giving this one a 9.5. It was a really satisfying read. Lots of great action. Some super dialogue. And I did enjoy it. So
one question about Dark Crisis here.
Yes, Joe.
Do you think that Jonathan is actually succeeding with getting this new Justice League solidified as a bona fide team? Because he still having problems with that technically.
Yes, and I will agree. In fact, it's said in there, Black Adam passes judgment and says, "No, you aren't building a very good Justice League." And I think it's too early in his career to even consider being any part of a Justice League. Although we know there's going to be one, So anyway, I would agree. I that's a good question, Joe. And I think the answer is no, at least not yet. Especially when the Teen Titans get their heads handed to them and there's no real organization yet, which Black Adam can see. So obviously he's going to get his own team, and that ought to be
He basically tells them they suck as a team, doesn't he?
Pretty much, yeah.
I saw that page.
Without the courtesy.
Again, when he's up here telling all these people, "I'm creating a brand new Justice League," it caused an immediate split.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, that part of the story caught my attention right away. I'm up here, I was like, wait a second. The original Justice League is gone. We need X, Y, and Z to happen. Their counterparts are here, but yet now everything is so fractured and splintered as far as the team dynamic that he's up here. It's like, I got to follow after my father's footsteps. It's like, who's to say that you're the person to do it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's an ongoing point. I think it looks to me like they're setting that up, that judgment up. And it's a valid point, just because John is stepping into his father's shoes, into his legacy, that doesn't necessarily mean that he is qualified to do so, that it takes more than just the superpowers to be the Superman or the Batman, the Wonder Woman, however you want to look at it. So, and obviously the Teen Titans aren't going to rise up and fill the ranks. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the series. I am genuinely enjoying it.
And Bruce's response was classic.
Yes. There's a lot of good stuff in this book. It's $4.99, but you get a lot of great entertainment out of it and a lot of good A lot of good stuff. Oh, and an ad for DC Mech. That's great. No, there's a whole lot of good things here, and I would have. This is one of those few issues where, especially because of the action, I wouldn't mind if they add a few more fight pages in here. Just the one with Cyborg Superman. I think that I would. While Robin's fight, like here, I think a beautifully laid out scenario here. Even Nick Tockard would approve of that, but. And then we get down to this and some threats and stuff. There's just a lot here, and I would have liked to have seen something done similarly between Superman and Hank Henshaw, because basically it's about the same amount of pages, but they got more going on than just these few pages.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I dig Dark Crisis so far. I think it's definitely worth putting on your pull list. Now, I'm getting to two comics that I'm going to give a 10 out of 10 on each. One is wrapping up, and the other one is ongoing, but it's late as hell. It's rivaling Knights at the Dinner Table for being late. And we'll start with we'll start with the late one. I haven't seen an issue of this in probably about 4 or 5 months. And it's a shame because it's one of my favorite titles right now, and that's Dead Box. For those who came in late, Lost Turkey is a small little town. That is redundant. Deal with it. There's a comma in there. But there's a young lady who wants to get out. She wants to see the larger world, but her grandfather is ill and on the verge of death and getting closer every day. He's running out of money. He can't afford the pain pills he needs just to stay sane. He's having trouble keeping food down, and she is doing everything she can to keep him going. Now, the thing is, this is a pretty rough issue to get through. If you've read a newspaper or seen anything from the news in the last 2 weeks, we had terrible shootings just this last weekend in the Chicago area. Then, of course, we've got that school that we're still having issues with. In fact, there's a content warning in here that this issue contains hate symbols and gun violence, which is the theme of this issue. Sometimes fiction, especially when leveling criticism, needs to look its monsters square in the eye. And one of the things is the as you can see at the lower right hand corner, the kid's cartoon is called Guns. And that's what came out of the Dead Box this time. And then, of course, we segue to a couple of people that have had an encounter who belong to a secret organization that the sheriff is letting them pass as a result. But they make a point in here that the guy behind the counter says to a guy who didn't have his ID, said, "Can't sell you the cigarettes, just the guns." All right. And they have more stuff in the back. There is some possibly triggering imagery in that last panel with all the military stuff there, like the swastika and all. But then the kids are so happy. They get to see a cartoon called Guns. And it's all about anthropomorphic guns. And one poor poor guy, he was raised in a pawn shop. And he doesn't think he's as good as the other guns that are so pretty and so shiny. And he's just a lousy Saturday night special. Well, hijinks ensue, of course, especially when they go to dinner and the AK-15 has a sneezing fit. And shoots all their beers. Then we get back to the modern day where the local reverend tries to convince the young woman that her relative is ill because he put in the dead box, and satanic things may be happening. And she asks if he would go in and say some comforting words, and he's like, "I better not. See you later." And, of course, a woman here is so happy because even though her father was born and raised in Lost Turkey, but her boyfriend is promising to take her away, except there's a couple extra guests at dinner. And you know where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
And the cartoon reaches its end where we find out that that one little gun is truly a Saturday night special. And there is a little bit of blood here, a very poignant ending, which you got to pick this book up to find out. This is a tough book to read. It is incredibly good. It makes, Mark Russell, as always, makes a lot of societal points that are worth making. And it's not just, preaching to the choir. This is it's connecting the dots of our society in a very disturbing way, in a very real way. If you know anyone who has triggers concerning gun violence and basically useless deaths, this is not the book for them. But because this book is so powerful and so well constructed, and it's a book that everyone should be reading that can, this is a 10 out of 10, a solid. It is a hard read, but it's mostly because of the news.
Hard but timely. Very
timely. And considering, it's a good point, Clyde, because knowing comic book production, for those of you not in the know, basically most comic books are started, the production process starts about 6 months for most comic book companies from the time they say, okay, we got to put out issue 3 of Deadbox, to the time when it falls into your hands. And to have that kind of precognizance is almost frightening. Last time I saw something that scary was 9/11, when like 2 or 3 comics that came out that very week showed jet planes crashing into skyscrapers. It's a tough book, but it's one that is well worth reading, and a story well worth telling. That even if we hadn't had the horrific events of the late news, that it would still be one we all need to read. It makes some excellent points. Now, on a lighter note, I am going to review one of the best comics that is wrapping up this year. Now, this is another one. We had to wait on it, I think because of paper shortages. But it's Batman 89. This book is top-notch. Sam Hamm, who wrote the first 2 Batman films with Tim Burton, did an incredible job on this. Super amount of kudos. And, really fantastic storytelling. Plus, you get the League of Super Pets. How can you turn this down, damn it? Some really good art here. And what is really wonderful about the art by Joe Quinones, who did the cover as well, painted the cover as well, is that he straddles that line between reminding you of the actor who portrayed that character and the comic book versions of them. This has got a lot of stuff in here. It is packed. There's a lot of plot going on in here. Sam Hamm fills the page with dialogue, but it is insightful. It is not any sort of wasted words like you might find in a Brian Michael Bendis book. Great twist towards the end, but this is just like superb storytelling. In fact, then you get this center spread like this with the final fate of Harvey Dent, and there was one page in here that I was just like totally in love with. If I can find the dang thing, or maybe that was last issue. Maybe it was last issue, because I reread that before I read this, because I couldn't remember what happened. But anyway, and it has a preview of Batman 125, which came out this week. Poignant ending. This is just a fantastic book. I put this up there with the Superman 78 that was released earlier this year. If you are a fan of the Tim Burton movies, if you are a fan of Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer and all the greatness that was in that movie, and if you want to see what could possibly have been made a great Batman 3, definitely check this book out. If you can't get all 6 issues, wait a couple months, because we know the inevitable trade paperback will come out and it will be worth every penny. Batman 89 number 6 gets a 10 out of 10. The entire series gets a 10 out of 10. Bat fans, that one's for you. Definitely for you. And thank you for listening to our humble review. Thank you. Yay, thank you. So, yeah, so anyway, let's see. And yes, poor Black Manta. We all feel so sorry for him. Aw.
He looks so sad.
He looks so sad. Poor would-be Atlantean conqueror. Boo-hoo. And Dolly Carlene, any reason to buy Hershey bars? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. We're on the same page. And all this talk about news is going to get me a timeout on Facebook. Yes, I commented on a police video where I mentioned the police should have shot out the windows and dealt with the person inside. Didn't say shoot the person. I said shoot out the windows. And I'm almost daring Facebook to come and get me now. Because I can clean out that friends list. Anyway, pray you're on it, people. But anyway, but no, I got a second ding, and this is not the first one I've got. The next one will be my last. So, we'll see what happens. And Nick Talker says, I am glad that important titles like Deadbox may be. I hope you're giving yourself breaks from the seriousness of reality. I worry about you, PKM. A lot of people worry about me, including my wife, and especially my wife. Yeah, I admit I had to read some things that were a little more fun, like Monkey King, and this was a very intense book to come out. But I also reread it today. But I also read this. Tippy Teen #1 from 1965, Tower Comics, David E. Laker. I love you, brother. And this also has. I would like to take a moment and give the ladies. Well, of course, no, this is also, I should give you an idea of the story. This is a story about a Tippy teen, in chemical warfare, is trying to figure out a way to get her teacher to love her. Oh, that's not creepy at all after 55 years. And it works. He falls in love, or he's very attracted to the student. So, before we think we got another Gwen Stacy moment here, but Dear Tippy has advice for the lovelorn. I should probably save that for later. I'm delaying Clyde.
Yeah. Go ahead. That's fine.
Dear Tippy, how old do you think a girl should be to go steady? It is much more fun to play the field than go steady, says Tippy Teen. Why not just date that extra special boy more often than anyone else? A good time to go steady is when you are old enough.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, to consider marriage. And Dear Tippy, how much makeup is proper for a girl going on 12 to wear? My first thought was, what street corner are you on, girl? Anyway, a girl of 12 is still blessed with a clear complexion and good coloring. Save some for me, Eric. Makeup is not really necessary, except perhaps for some pale lipstick. And occasionally a dab of loose face powder. Yeah, let's talk loose. And one more. Dear Tippy, I should do this every week. How can I get a boy I'm crazy about to notice me? There is no surefire way to get a boy to notice you. By all means, don't become a pest.
Unless he's your teacher. Then he's sort of a captive audience.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're in the chemistry lab.
Yeah.
Do look your prettiest when you expect to see him, and try smiling and saying a friendly hello. If he is receptive to this and returns your greeting, perhaps the next step will be a date. Thank you, Tippy Teen, for this great advice that stretches across the decades. And we should do this every week.
Is it really worse though than today's society, when OnlyFans is spread across any social media site you look at, and people advertising, especially if you're on Twitter? I mean, you basically get porn. No, not basically. It is porn. It shows up in your feed. So I don't know.
Well, in my feed, it's usually porn, but that's another issue. That's what algorithms are about. I killed Eric.
Oh.
Even after he took the swigs, he couldn't take that.
I know. Yeah.
He had the painkiller, and it still hurt him.
Well, we ought to do like Tippy Teen's advice for the teenager today.
God, no, no.
I'm seeing my next broadcast. This is great. Boy, I gave up. Never mind.
If you want to get that boy's attention, just sign up for OnlyFans and make him pay to see that.
Just do the out of context. Do the out of context comic book thing. We can each week we'll come in with an issue that has not aged well.
Oh, God.
And
well, I had a panel here that was of dubious age. Let's see if I can. Well, just that one story is pretty dubious right there.
Wow.
Let's see if we can find it in the 3 or 4 hours we've got allotted for this. Oh, and there is a Star Time with David McCallum talking about his wife, Jill Ireland, and how they'll never part. Wait till you start with Charles Bronson, Bucky. Anyway, there was one of the stories in here. The first panel showed Tippy in the car, and the boyfriend's doing something. What's his name? Tommy, the boyfriend is
Tippy and Tommy sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
F-U-C. Never mind. Okay, here we go. Better date than never. Tommy, hurry! It's almost 11:30, and Dad gets furious when I'm late. Tippy, I'm going as fast as I can. So now, is my mind the only one wondering on this one? What's he doing in the bushes there?
He's pushing the car.
Damn it, Joe, you must have this issue. Damn, it's a very good guess.
It's 1960. What do you think I've been picking up as of late? All these Archie comics.
I love those things. I swear I love those things. So anyway, let's see. Oh, yes. Is this, Carl Wisman wants to know, is this advice from the same gal aiming for the science teacher? I'm suspecting it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. And I'm with Dad on the Tippy, says Lissy. Yeah. And save some of that for the rest of us, Eric. That's Donna. Nick Tockard, wow, grooming much, Tippy? It's kind of like reverse grooming in this case. And Lissy says he needs to share the good stuff, the pecan pie whiskey. Oh, yeah.
I believe the pecan pie whiskey might be gone.
Oh, that hurts. And indie creators of all strife love BKM almost as much as Tippy loves that science professor, and Brian is dodging cancellation like Luke Stone over here. Yeah, and Tippy topples Tommy. That could happen, They never mind. So anyway, just as Eric brought the level of discourse up, now the nearly Herculean task of saving this episode from me has fallen upon this man here, Clyde Hall.
No, it's not because of you. It's because of the chat. The chat brought us off the rails. So
yes, and you're right. It's their fault. Chat, keep up the good work. We have a standard to maintain. All right? So, we have the one, the only, the miracle worker himself, Mr. Clyde Hall. Yes, give it up for Clyde. Clyde,
hey.
Good luck.
Oh, thank you. What a tough act to follow, but I'll begin with, to serious things up a little bit. I also got Dead Box, and I got a variant cover that I thought was more poignant.
Wow, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. It was a very poignant issue and a hard one to read. And when you said that you were going to get it, I went ahead and picked it up. It wasn't on my pull list, but I'm glad I did. It was really, really good. Another one that was good in a different kind of way. This is Kyle Stark's I Hate This Place. This is the second issue. And I don't want to give too much away, but man, it really picks up well from the last issue. They were given rules, kind of like the rules of time travel that Joe was talking about. And they try to break every one of them, and we see just how successful that is. Not very. But it does make for some very horrific entertainment. And then they consult a specialist in occult matters. And Kyle was at BirdCon, so he must have some connections in Southern Illinois. Maybe family, I don't know. But
I think he lives in near somewhere like near Evansville, Indiana. So he's definitely southern
Okay.
Indiana.
Okay, well, because he was at that convention, I thought maybe he's got a reason. Maybe he's visiting family or something. But the specialist that they consult is from Southern Illinois.
Oh.
In this, yeah, it was a very nice kind of one of those you go, huh? You don't see that too often. And this guy looks like he's from Southern Illinois in general. He's a hands-on kind of investigator. So,
Clyde made me choke too.
what I mean,
do you have a mullet and stuff?
No. But he is. He looks like he's a rural denizen, kind of like. He reminded me of somebody that would be in Brian Rodman's story about his the grandmother character that is has been chasing ghosts and all these cryptoids, cryptozoological monsters and creatures, cryptids, and but he looks that kind of an investigator, not like some dapper UK, not like he's definitely not an urban kind of guy, and he is not from the UK. He's not well groomed and well spoken. He looks like just Joe Lunchbox, which makes me think that he's going to probably be very helpful. Again, he goes in the field. It's not all theoretics for him. It's not theories. It's things that he's tried that work. In fact, he says something like, "Okay, took care of this problem to another client," and they're like, "Are you sure? What if they come back?" "Oh, they won't." "Yeah, they're afraid I'll be here." Okay, so either he's a con man or he's got some props. So, but it was a very nice, unexpected little twist to that story. So I really, really like that. The Ward issue 2 came out. That's the one with the supernatural hospital, and again, they combine all sorts of interesting medicine and medicine terms with supernatural entities. Really enjoyed. It's a really good, probably my favorite thing that Dark Horse is doing right now.
Nice.
But what I'm going to review, last week for Doom Rocket, I reviewed Astronaut Down #1 from Aftershock Comics. Because Aftershock has been doing some interesting science fiction work. They launched another comic, the same, just a week apart, I think, where starships go to die, which is about an apocalyptic future, possible dystopian apocalypse. Astronaut Down is a dystopian apocalypse. And I looked at the covers, I'm like, man, they're kind of taking risks here. It sounds very similar. They could not be more different. And this is part of Aftershock's strength, I think, as a smaller comic company, is to look at both of these stories and go, okay, we're going to do them anyway. They may have some similarities in their setting a little bit. Everything else is completely off the table and different about them. And Astronaut Down #1, very good cover. It's a very creepy cover. It's more science fiction than horror, but it does have a horrific possibility in very near future, at least in that reality. And this is the cover to #2. And I thought it was worth doing a follow-up because they put down some interesting premises in the first issue. This issue follows up on some, opens up other cans of worms. I didn't enjoy this one quite as much as the first one, but I am curious to see where it goes from here. I'll be picking up the third issue because it didn't disappoint me over much. It's just, it was a very strong start. This one is more expositional, a little bit more talking heads and as much action as the first one. But sometimes you get that with the second issue as they're setting up things for the eventual climax. And as danger amps up after the initial crisis. And I think that's what they're doing here. I'm just guessing, but I think that's the case. But Astronaut Down, show you some artwork here. The artwork is done by an artist called, I wasn't sure if it was Rubin or Rubine, but apparently it's Rubin is how it is pronounced. Rubine. I have not seen his work before, but there's something about his the facial features, he reminds me of kind of a simplified Kevin McGuire a little bit. He does really, really good expressions and brings characters to life. For example, we have this young lady who is one of the support characters. And now, he doesn't have a whole lot of full-page spread, so that's kind of an oddity there. He does have some large panels, but as far as full-page spreads, he doesn't have too much. There's a deal where they're talking to somebody through a cortex implant. And I thought this was very interesting storytelling of how they framed this message that's coming in directly into his cerebral cortex from his mission control. And we have an intentionally green-skied version of Earth. Part of the thing that they're trying to fix, the cure for it, creates a green sky. I thought this was kind of hard for the colorist. She did a great job the first issue, but I thought she was kind of kneecapped this time because the green is pretty overwhelming in the scenes that have it. And we do have some action. It gets very violent. This would be in keeping with the first issue a bit, but it's quick and near the end. But so, Astronaut Down #2. I'll give you a little synopsis here of how it all started out. Kind of like Mark Russell that BKM was talking about. The first issue struck me as something that took a lot of the frustrations that people may have felt in the last couple of years and ran with it into a dystopian, apocalyptic kind of future. Astronaut Down #2 is from Aftershock Comics. It has a $3.99 cover price. It's written by James Patrick. Art is by Ruben. Colors by Valentina Brisky. Letters by Carlos M. Manguel. And the maturity level is definitely rated M for mature. While I write for various sites, this is my own independent feature, and it should not be considered as representing any views of those other sites, nor the views of Comic Book Spectrum. Just one part of the team here. So it's not exactly Uncle Sam extending his pointy finger and proclaiming, "I want you," but the sentiment, it runs parallel here. Imagine a future where this public service announcement plays every few minutes on broadcasts across America. And it sounds something like, "Your National Institute Entangle Advancements, NEA, wants you. As the planetary entangle advancement, as the planetary cancer known as quantum mutation continues spreading across the globe, our research has preserved livable human habitat, urban cradles of safety from the murderous tumors threatening our very existence. But these barriers have a viability limit, and the threat grows stronger each day while our fortifications steadily weaken. That's why we need volunteers for missions that will expand our knowledge of quantum physics and enable us to cure this terrestrial malignancy. Candidates will undergo extensive testing. Those chosen will be launched on voyages never attempted before. Their destinations not distant stars, but alternate realities. The Talmud says, whoever saves one life saves the world entire. If successful, our mission will save our world and all remaining human life. These brave astronauts, however, will likely not live to see the good that they have wrought. We're looking not only for pioneers and patriots, but those willing to undertake a one-way mission on behalf of their friends, their families, and their loved ones. Time is fleeting. Only 14 megacities remain across the entirety of Earth now that Ohio City has been lost. Its 2 million inhabitants destroyed in less than 17 minutes following their barrier collapse. Contact the NEA now at the number displaying across the bottom of your screen. Your world needs you. The future needs you, and so do we. That is basically the premise for Aftershock Comics' new apocalyptic science fiction title, Astronaut Down. In the very near future, in this reality, science detects an anomaly in Russia. It's an unknown energy signature growing as it consumes its environment and makes it hostile and deadly to any kind of human or animal life. The locations of these initial breaches causes much speculation. Russia, nobody trusts Russia, so what have they done? What have they unleashed here? With international politics frosty, accurate data is scarce. So science puts forth theories as the reality plague spreads and information becomes available. But as debate between political factions escalate, skepticism and conspiracy theories begin to grow, and a misguided campaign is launched encouraging the idea that doing nothing constitutes the supreme act of faith necessary for a supernatural salvation. The NEA finds its funding reduced and its efforts to combat the spread hampered by political posturing and conflicting public opinions. By the time the truth of the threat is fully realized, and in the first issue, Russia's gone. By the time they try to confirm and get some information from Russia, it's gone. The quantum cancer is rampant, and it's devouring large sections of the globe. The NEA finally gets the support it needs, but time is short. They recruit volunteer astronauts, put them through abbreviated testing, and launch missions based more on unproven theory in a desperate attempt to expand their understanding of the terrestrial plague and discover a cure. Several failed and fatal missions result in a possible cure with time enough for only one more attempt at treatment and to put the quantum cancer into remission. They're going to have to send a trio of astronauts into alternate realities. There, they will merge with their native doppelgangers in that reality and establish an inoculation tether, which hopefully stops the tumors from ripping apart the fabric of their reality. In issue number 1, we met the 3 astronauts chosen for this task. They are the last best chance of humanity's continued survival. And Doug, he is the 4th member, wasn't supposed to go. One of the others, one of the 3 that was chosen becomes disqualified and he can't. And so Doug, the alternate, steps into the mission after that disqualification of the original trio member. And we see the launch at the end of issue 1. As we begin here, he survives the insertion. Doug survives the insertion launch and awakens in a very different world. Number 2 begins as he suddenly finds himself having a meal with his wife, Maddie. In his reality, Maddie died as a result of the global cancer. In this other world, the threat of the ensuing terrestrial malady was found about the same time as on Doug's world, but here science quickly assessed the threat, and the people of the planet cooperated with information exchanges and theoretical treatments. They discovered a curative therapy. They applied it, and they rid the world of the mutation before it could grow. That's what causes their sky to be green. That's an after effect of it. But at least their reality is not being gobbled up by this spreading tumors of unreality. Now the world is putting much research into alternate reality travel. And the Doug there that he is now occupying is also an astronaut. He is selected to travel into alternate realities as well, as technology opened the way for that because of their cure. But he can then return to his own. The process is still rudimentary, but it's 2-way instead of 1-way, like the dead-ended technology that is the death warrant of all these other volunteer astronauts like Doug. Well, back on his world, the NEA Mission Control Director knows that Doug has found an alternate timeline, but the people in Mission Control are unaware of the new information that he may have access to. Expecting him to quickly establish that tether, activate it, kill himself, and most likely expire, they are baffled at the lack of achieved mission objectives while their world continues to burn down around their ears. Can Doug find a way to share the other reality's cure with his world rather than use the suicidal and untried tether treatment? Or will he choose to simply stay in that better and safer otherworldly place while humanity goes extinct in his original reality? So the good. James Patrick's script is a sci-fi frustration vent, really, for much of what our world has endured the last few years. Whether you want to place that storyline template over global warming or COVID or international and domestic politics or war, the shoe is on a one-size-fits-all variety really here. So readers exasperated by everything from government bureaucracy to posturing politicos in search of higher percentage points, they should find a satisfying comeuppance of consequence in this title, I think. Doug, as a protagonist, is a very great choice. He is cut from a Steve Rogers cloth if ever anybody was. He is willing to be the man who falls on a grenade to save others. He's a brave individual who has he's lost much, including his wife, in his reality, and he's willing to turn his hurt into a selfless act despite the short-sighted leaders who have made his sacrifice necessary. And seeing him reunited with his wife, Maddie, and placed into a world which handled crisis better, a world now on the threshold of a new scientific age, thanks to their solution, is good storytelling. How can he choose the world that he came from over living in this one with his wife? And what unforeseen consequences could result from either choice? The art by Rubin, it felt a little bit stiff in that first issue, but he has really evolved it. This seemed to flow much better. He's past that initial phase, and it's a smoother style and better line work here, I think. Those masterful portraits that he does, it just builds on Patrick's very strong characterizations. And again, he's got that Kevin Maguire kind of essence about him on facial expressions. Maddie is smart, and she's funny, and Rubin animates her into that kind of young person. We understand Doug's sense of extreme loss because writer and artist invest us in her through the way that they portray this young woman. And they make the thought of Doug losing her twice heart-wrenching. I mean, cue the WandaVision music. You know, to lose somebody that special twice, you just can't imagine how he's going to be able to decide to do that. The colorist, Valentina Brisky, is somewhat handicapped, I think, in this issue. Number one issue, she did a great job. She does the best she can, though. It's an interesting narrative choice to make it so green, and we get that. To me, it flooded all the other panels that she gave a lot of good contrast to before, and I hated the loss of that. But she does the best she can with what she's been dealt for the storyline. The bad. While the storyline calls out bad behavior on the part of everybody recording in Doug's original timeline, original reality, during this ongoing global crisis, it also mirrors some of the things that we have seen, as good sci-fi often does in real life, and calls for, sometimes when that is done, it's to offer solutions or to call for a change. It's a cautionary tale. And if it is a cautionary tale, if that's what you're expecting out of this one, I don't know whether readers may be disappointed, because it seems to be more interested in condemning rather than saying we should do this now. It seems to be like an afterthought. But that's just based on the first two issues. It may go elsewhere. The alternate reality that Doug finds himself in is a better one, certainly, but it owes nearly every betterment to science, which seems pretty ham-handed, really, for a story, because science has led to some amazing advancements for the human race, no question. But it's also been taken to bleak and destructive destinations, too. In issue number 2, it's all good stuff. And, Doug seems to find himself in not a perfect world. And I'm hoping that the creative team can show it to be a better reality, but not a perfect or seamless one, because that feels unrealistic. I mean, people are still flawed, and their society should have shortcomings as well as strengths. There's a vibe in this alternate reality of a wishful thinking kind of world, which in turn, it awakens a Walking Dead vibe in me, because in the comics and the show Walking Dead, when a settlement seemed too perfect, too good to be true, it was. Because, it didn't have any disagreeing factions because they weren't allowed unless they wanted to die. So I'm kind of curious to see how they continue to flesh out this alternate reality, if there are indeed some drawbacks to how well they have handled this crisis. And, we could say that we did a wonderful thing by making the atomic bomb to end World War II in a fashion that caused a lesser loss of life over many, many battles, traditional battles, but it also opened up a whole other can of worms, and I'm wondering if we'll see that here. If not, that'll be a disappointment to me. So I don't know if other people will have that vibe or not. But the takeaway, though, is issue number 2 of Astronaut Down is an exceptional entry, and it's more of an expositional one than that premiere issue. It sets the story hooks deep in suggesting many possibilities, and the dimes upon which this story could turn. There's a lot of them. And I'm really anxious to see what number 3 brings. It's nearly a multiverse of intriguing possibilities, fittingly enough. It is adventurous, but its perilous tone from the first issue, sort of like this issue reminds me, or the first issue reminded me of that upbeat music when the orca launches from the docks to go hunt the big shark. It's a very upbeat kind of adventuresome sort of a tale, although it implies danger and peril, but it's still very positive. This one is more like incidental music, building to something bigger in the coming issues. And all is going to depend on just how well that payoff is constructed in the remaining volumes. So my score for Astronaut Down number 1, it was 8 out of 10. My score for Astronaut Down number 2 is 7.5 out of 10.
All right. Excellent, Clyde. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good indeed. And we still have some... Yeah. Eric has braced himself. Let's see. Here we go. And we've got some other... Carl Witzman springs to the chat's defense. The chat did not bring up Tippy and the teacher. That's true. And Bill Nye,
very true.
I take full blame for that. And Bill Nye the Science Guy is happily married. Tippy, you homewrecker, says Nick Tockard. And Carl Winston said the dude looks like a Southern Illinoisan. And Lissy says, I'm asking the real question here. Clyde, does the Southern Illinois guy say "ope"?
Not in. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue, so he hasn't said it yet. Not yet.
Okay, give him time.
Mm-hmm.
And slips out. Carl Winston slipping out quietly. A stupid o'clock, promising to come back and rewatch the ending. Give them our love, Carl. So there we go. Now, Joe, against my better judgment, you asked me to remind you that you had a rant.
Right, and that rant stemmed from 2 things that you showed me with your reviews here.
Yes, me.
Good going, Brian. Good going.
Yeah, no, I'm going to get banned from here too.
Yeah, I want to call out DC for something that I noticed.
Okay.
And they need to stop doing this seriously because it puts them in a very negative light when people pick up on it.
Okay.
A lot of their recent books, especially those that predominantly features those of different nationalities,
yes,
are either relegated to limited series or seasons instead of full-fledged ongoing titles.
Mm-hmm. True.
You can look at, Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You kind of reminded me of that with Monkey Prince, because Monkey Prince, to me, after the first couple of issues, that should be an ongoing story. You have enough people interested to make that an ongoing series. Yeah. Naomi is firmly into towards the end of season number 2. Mm-hmm. So is Static. So is Nubia. So is all of these other books. But yet you don't relegate Batman to it. You don't relegate Catwoman to it. You don't relegate Superman to it. Why is that? That's a bad precedent to set even from a marketing standpoint. It's a bad precedent to set because of the simple fact that you're really saying something subliminal to those who are reading those titles.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
That's going to be short-lived.
Excellent point. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm seeing a lot more Batman series, and of course, I don't read previews. Now, are all of the recent Batman in books. Now I know the Black Label is going to be a limited series always,
Mm-hmm.
but the stuff that's released through DC mainstream, is all of that going to be ongoing series or
So far, so far until they get canceled.
Huh.
And I'm just looking at it from this standpoint. You had Nubia and the Amazons, which got which ended at 6, only to have a coronation issue to follow up with Queen Nubia.
Mm-hmm.
There was no need for that. Put it all in one ongoing series. The thing with Wonder Girl, you ended that quick, fast, in a hurry. Gave her a 2-issue miniseries, which technically was really the end of that limited series, but yet she's popular enough that you're running with the character in Dark Crisis and all these other side books.
She's
but
one
yet
of the
we're not
candy
going to get
bars,
another Wonder Girl book for quite some time now. I'm looking at Monkey Prince. Monkey Prince has shown that it is a very valid title. Question now, becomes, will we ever see that ever again?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Good point.
But yet, you got 15 billion Batman books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the one, and even to say this, even beyond Flashpoint, it's a limited series.
Yeah.
It technically shouldn't be, because everything is surrounded by Batman, but it's not Bruce. Right. It's the real Batman, Thomas. But again, they don't have much faith, and I take it as they don't have much faith within Thomas Wayne being the focal factor along with Barry.
Yeah.
Again, this is a thing that Barry did. Thomas had different ways of fixing it. He's fixing that Flashpoint timeline. That could be an ongoing series all day, every day. No. They don't. It's almost like they're saying that they don't want their bread and butter to get outshined by something brand new.
One of my friends really loves Monkey Prince, and she will promote it. And she works for a big comic book store in Chicago. And the reason that she promotes it a lot is it's a quality title, but in her store at least, and she and her husband, they do a pretty good job of keeping track of sales from the other side of the counter, somebody that work in stores. She's like, it should be having a bigger audience. It's not selling the amount of copies that it should. So I'm sure that that's part of the corporate outlook as well. But yeah, why not give it? I mean, okay, so maybe it only runs 8 or 9 issues, and if sales drop off, but make it a title, an ongoing title, not just a limited series, to give it a chance to build an audience more.
Yeah. And I question that aspect, because if you went back and looked at some of my episodes From the Death of a Small Press Publisher, I actually went back and challenged those numbers with Wonder Girl. It wasn't the fact that people wasn't buying it. It was something else corporate wise that they was looking at. And it turned out it might have been, like I said, rotating the whole thing with the rotating creative teams, and the fact that Jonelle Jones, there was something brought up about Jonelle Jones as far as keeping to deadlines and stuff. All of that plays a factor, but it's not on. I can't see a corporation putting these popular titles on the readership when the readership has showed up. It's more along the lines, these corporations don't have faith in these titles. Why?
Well,
they're based upon the IPs that has stood the test of time. Why aren't you putting faith in these titles?
No, that's a valid point, and this goes back to almost 2 years ago when Daniel Cherry was the CEO, the president of DC, and he at the time stated that we're going to push the legacy characters, he even canceled like the Harley Quinn line of titles, and that's a very popular, but obviously sales don't back that up. And yet I agree with you. It's like I guess I'm of two minds. That if you're gonna roll the dice but lean in the favor of your legacy titles, then beef up your legacy titles. Don't be bringing in new versions of them.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if you are bringing new versions and I hear that Superman Son of Kal-El sells reasonably well, and it's gotten some headlines because of maybe regardless of whether you think it's the right reason or not, because of the inclusion of John Kent being bisexual. And I see this as I think it's a good point. I see this as almost schizophrenic as far as a business approach goes. And I think that may, now that I think about it, thinking out loud, that may explain why they're doing like limited runs. Although then again, John Kent has an ongoing title. So, but that's the exception. You made a good point that the Wonder Woman replacements are limited titles. Monkey Prince was announced as an 8-issue series. And the thing is, by now they've got Monkey Prince just released a 6th issue. Even if we were just doing newsstand distribution, that would be enough information for DC brass to say, this is selling. Let's keep going. And I'm sure that fans of Monkey Prince would not be in the least bit disappointed if issue 8 they said, we changed our minds. We're an ongoing title now. The only reason I could think of, again, a lot of this stuff is coming out as I talk about it. The fandom loves their number ones again. The investors love their number ones. And the only reason I can think of doing it is you're producing number ones. But aside from that, whether that makes business sense or not is, not up to me, unfortunately. But, no, I think you make some very good points that it does show a monstrous lack of faith in
but they don't
their characters.
understand
And you could make the same argument for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm just pointing it out. It's like they're hurting books that have pretty decent fan bases, like with Static. Static should not have gone to a season 1, season 2. Naomi should not be going to season 1, season 2, and about to be in a season 3. It's an ongoing title. Make it an ongoing title. What are you losing out of it? You're really not.
No, I agree. Of course, it could be that maybe, like to avoid the Jonelle Jones thing, maybe the artist can't really do a monthly title. And they're building up inventory pages so that when they reach number 12, it's all a matter of timing. That's the only thing I can think of.
But redoing everything and going to a season 3 with another issue number 1, and you have it plays kind of like, and this is me looking at it from a different perspective. It's like it's a more of a mind, and I hate to say it, a mind, squeak the bomb and whatnot, only because that new person coming in at season 3, number 1, think that they got a true number 1 when it really isn't.
Right. Very misleading. Yeah.
And it's very misleading.
Yeah.
For the investors and everything. It might get more of a bump. You might get more, more press about that.
Right.
But it's not truly a number 1.
Yeah.
You have to go all the way back to season 1. And now you create all these subsets that people are going to look at. It's like, oh, you can skip season 2, go to season 5. Because that's where everything really happens. But yet it is what it is. Yeah. I just see that as not the best route. It just makes it easier to put out your collected volumes in that aspect. It makes all this other marketing stuff easier, but it does not help as far as marketing, especially for popular characters that is of other nationalities. You up here talking about inclusion. and you have something that is that popular, and you do relegate it to that, it's like, no, that's more of like corporate control over that IP. You're almost self-sabotaging at that point. You're almost saying, I don't have faith in this IP despite the numbers.
Well, here's another danger, and this has been true for the last half century in comics. You know, the comics talk about, here's a great jumping on point. And maybe that's how they see the multiple number ones, as a jumping off point. But the problem is, every jumping on point is preceded by someone else's jumping off point.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you make a valid point. You know, maybe just say that, especially once the numbers come in and they can justify doing it, the creators get paid enough that they can justify keeping work on the comic. Maybe they could just, say, like I said earlier, it wouldn't break my heart if issue 8 they said, hey, stay tuned, Monkey Prince number 9 will be out next month.
Mm-hmm.
That would not make me cry, except with joy. Because it's been such a fun title and so different than what else DC is producing. So that's a good point. I think it's one worth making. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Eric Hawkins and look at Amazonia. By God, keeping the numbering going. It could be just a conceit too. And I kind of teased Nick Tockert about this when he did his first Never Mind the Furthermore essay. He named it, basically like season 1, number 1 of his run. And I made a comment. My season 1 lasted almost 7 years.
Right. Exactly.
But I had faith in my product.
Mm-hmm.
So there.
I would say it might be putting out the multiple ones, trying to get the money from those.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Marvel or DC having the insight to make jumping on points for people to buy them anyway. Yeah. They don't care. They just want money. And, I'm sure they have internal benchmarks. If a book doesn't hit the certain sales that they want it to hit, they want instant success. They don't want to build up an audience. They want to just start right there as soon as that first issue comes out. If it doesn't, they might not continue the book. They want it to be like a blockbuster movie. Boom, we got all the money. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Instead of taking a long-term view of it and building that audience. You're absolutely right on that.
Which, as independent creators, we can't do that. We have to take the long road.
It's not just that. It's like, think about all the books that came out gangbusters, but as soon as they changed the creative team,
shoot,
gone.
Yep.
Or they changed the creative team when the sales start to slump. Like, I remember, what was it? Kronos. I liked the Kronos book. Or no, not Kronos. Kronos was one, but Our Man. The one about the android Our Man.
Yeah.
That after a certain point, you could tell the momentum was, being lost in sales. Because they pulled the entire creative team, put them on another book, and they left the new team to basically sweep the floors and turn out the lights when everyone's done. Which is kind of cheating the reader that's invested in the first 8, 9, 10 issues.
I do want to point out, though, there's only 5 Batman-related books this week, so it's not as bad as we think.
It's compared to a couple months ago, it's virtually Batman-free.
Yeah. Speaking of Batman, if any of you have some loose change, apparently George Clooney's Batman suit has gone up for auction. And they're throwing in the nipples free of charge. So,
my favorite.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, that requires that. Yes.
Yes. It would not be a proper bat suit without bat nipples.
I do have almost a whole bottle of the pecan. We're good.
Good thing.
He may that thing may go the way of all flesh by the end of this episode at the rate we're going. So, so I think it was very good. Thank you, Joe. I hear rant and I'm like, oh dear God, because I know how I am when I'm on my.
No, I'm not. It wasn't an angry rant. It just you reminded me of that. It's like, Monkey Prince is about to come to an end, and they don't realize what they have.
It wasn't a rant. It was Joe's segment. WTF?
There we go. There we go.
Joe's WTF. Need a logo. Throw that up.
Yeah, we need a logo. Get busy, Eric. So that's cool. So we have run through all the comments, and we've had a very good discussion. Again, thank you very much for that, Joe, and all the great reviews from all three of you. Thank you again. So I'll tell you what, let's start with Clyde, then Eric, then Joe, and then me, and let's close out the show. Clyde, tell everyone how they can keep up with your amazing adventures.
Oh, well, you'll have to get. Well, actually, I'm relegated to a 5-issue series. I don't have an actual. I don't have an actual ongoing title. No.
We looked at your sales, man. You just keep going. Just keep going.
I'm Clyde Hall. I'm an independent author and a contributing writer, and you can follow me on Facebook at Clyde Hall or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall, and on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984. As we said before, I do weekly comic book reviews. Most of the time they're weekly at two other sites, doomrocket.com and at comicsbookcase.com. I'm also at Stormgate Press, home of new pulp fiction excellence. I have a short story in Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie anthology that BKM showed us earlier.
We'll show again.
Of course. And, Major Marjorie, she's a radio drama celebrity by day and a space siren defender of Earth all the time. You can find it on Amazon, along with all 3 volumes of the award-winning, I don't know, but world famous might be pushing it, but award-winning anthology series, Pulp Reality 1, 2, and 3. They feature the tale of Criswell Speaks. It's the character that I created called B-Man. What would it feel like to call upon the powers and abilities of any B-movie character ever? Well, Chris knows, and he and his partner Drea, they use his abilities to solve crimes and to protect their city from paranormal threats. Their next adventure is coming up in Pulp Reality number 4. Stormgate Press is also celebrating the 10th anniversary of of author Charles F. Milhouse's character, the high-flying aviation hero, Captain Stephen Hawkins. My short story for that milestone, or novella, it's a long short story or novella, in the Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkins series to commemorate his 10th anniversary, is coming soon. In fact, put up a cover the other day for everybody to look at. It's called The Banshee Barnstormer, and the cover art is by Plasma Fire Graphics' amazing Jeffrey Hayes. Yay. So if you, for no other reason, go look me up on Facebook so you can see that image. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of art. And the first time I've ever got to pick something for cover art for my own work. So it was a big thrill, big week. I know, Eric, you got to have a drink.
It's not me.
To get
someone's taking a leak.
Sure, it's not.
That's BKM with the
BKM's taking a leak right in the middle of your outro.
Now, having said all that, one of the highlights of every week that I have is getting to hang out with these wacky and wonderful weirdos here. So next Thursday night, join us for another celebration of NCBD +1 right here at Comic Book Spectrum.
Thank you very much, Clyde. And I got busted. I should have turned off my mic. Anyway,
I just thought I was driving Eric to drink. I don't blame him.
I was testing out my hail pail. That's it. Anyway,
who took their mic to the bathroom?
Let's find out the answer from Eric Hawkins.
Hey, if you like to, I do have a birthday coming up. So if you want to buy me some Mr. Black coffee liqueur, I love it. Or Kraken, or
yeah.
I'm the independent comic creator. Design for the World of Oz is what I'm bestly known for. Which issue 4 will be going out to backers partially this week, partially next week, partially the week after. I have a bunch of stuff to pack up, and I'm a one-man show. A one-man show with taping and bagging. I do have all the trading cards packaged together, and all the stickers, and all the buttons, and all the poker chips are in separate envelopes, so they don't, I could put them in the crease of the Gemini mailer so they don't pop up and hit any comics and stuff. It's almost a science sometimes when you put too much stupid crap in with your stuff. But I love the poker chips, so I'm going to keep doing those, definitely. Other than that, you can find me on any social media. I'll give a couple shouts to some Kickstarters going on right now. Obsidian, #1. It's a 54-page book, which will be 60 once all the other stuff's added to it. They are fully funded. They have like 6 days to go. They're at $1,500 and 40 backers. It's a European-style writing and art, and it is printed in the United States and distributed by me. And also Saving the World, #8, I do believe, just launched today on Kickstarter, which Dorothy and the Scarecrow have a cameo in that book. And one little panel. The creator his characters from Saving the World are doing a crossover with Rags, which is another independent comic book. And for them to get to that universe, they cross through a bunch of different independent comic universes. So it's just his characters like shooting through the sky, and there's different artists, did panels, and that's about it.
Traversing the Indieverse.
Yes. So it seems pretty cool. I had a fun time drawing that one little panel. I mean, I don't know why, but other than that, Thursday night, come find me here. Then later on Thursday night, find me on Draw Core Fan Edition, where we have been spotting independent creators lately. We didn't have anyone this week, and we're doing just create a character. So the hosts are going to throw out some character ideas for each of us, and we're going to design a character.
Beautiful.
Yep, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you. I'm on the back 9.
Hey, you're with us now.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I think I hit the back 9 about 10 years ago. But
Wait.
Yeah.
What's the threshold for back 9?
Well, I don't plan to live to 100, so I'll be 51. I'm figuring maybe my 80s, so I probably hit it about 10 years ago.
Oh wow!
I've decided
by
I'm dying when I'm 80.
By that logic, I'm there with you.
Wow.
If the world lasts that long, that's the biggest problem.
That's a good point, though. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and here's Joe D. McFee. Tell the world.
Yeah, guys don't have to worry about my birthday. We still got another month before my birthday. But I am the president of CGC Studios, creator of Amazonia, AWF, and Primetime Saturday night. And Thursday nights, I'm usually here doing comic book phone, having multiple different comic book issues that I have read and already prepared reviews for, and we'll discuss them here, there, and everywhere. And also on Saturdays, I have my show from the desk of a small press publisher, where I also do pretty much the exact same thing, except we talk more about stuff that goes on in the industry, comic book production, anything and everything, that deals with the world of comics here. And as of right now, I'm getting closer and closer to be able to talk about a project that I worked on, because I saw the first bit of advertising for the crowdfunding campaign for the 6 to 8 page story. I believe it's it's a 6 page story that I wrote for a known IP. So it's pretty much I'll be more freely to talk about it once it goes live, because I will be promoting it.
Excellent.
Better be.
Congratulations.
Yeah, super, man. That's great.
So hopefully within the next couple of days it goes live, and I could start sharing links and stuff to it here, because I want people to read that story, because it's a brand new character to that particular mythos for that IP.
Very neat. Very neat.
And if you need to get in contact with me, there it is, right there on the screen here with the link tree and everything. I haven't forgot, because people, after it's like, how did you catch up with it? It's like, I always keep my link tree right there. Just follow the link. You figure out everything else from there. But that's pretty much it. And like I stated before, with issue number 3, I did have it handy. I don't have the issue number 1, but that's going to be part of Comic Book Phone for next week.
Excellent.
Issue number 3. So if you're curious about what else is going on in this book, I'll be ready.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, Joe.
Right.
Glad to have you on here.
Right.
And I'm Brian K. Morris, independent publisher, freelance hybrid author, award-winning author to boot, Facebook famous YouTuber, and former mortician's assistant. If you want to find out what I'm doing, check out risingtide.pub. It has a link to all my broadcasting, our Patreon page, which we'll talk about in a moment, and also you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter. The next issue goes out this coming August 1st, and we have some fun stuff in there. Plus, I tell you what I'm up to, what I'm working on, where I'm going to be. And where I'm going to be this coming Saturday and Sunday is in West Des Moines, Iowa, the farthest west I usually go. And Calgon and Cookie and I are going to be making an appearance at the Valley West Mall in West Des Moines at the Indie Author Book Expo. Please find their event page on Facebook. And love to Jen Thompson. Looking forward to seeing you, darling. And there's going to be a whole bunch of really great authors. Please come see us. I will have some brand new books, such as the trilogy of Batman essays about the 1960s Adam West Burt Ward series. Great stuff. You'll be glad to see that. Plus, we have the award-winning Snow Shorts with the award-winning Snow Ambition, written by me. No, I will not have the award there. It's heavy. Anyway, please check this book out. We'll have copies of that, as well as all 3 issues of Pulp Reality, and also Major Marjorie, with stories by the great Clyde Hall, creator Tim Bruckner, Jim Beard, Alessia Kent, and myself behind a beautiful Jeffrey Hayes cover there. And also we'll have some of the classics like Santa Sign, Volcana, Skyman, so come see us. We take all major credit cards and we give them back when we are done. So anyway, please come see us. We look forward to seeing you there. And also the Saturday afterwards, we'll be at the 3rd annual Heroes for Kids Comic-Con at Perry Park Center, 800 City Park Lane in Perryville, Missouri. Beautiful, beautiful city. We're going to have actor William F. Bell, Pinhead actor Paul T. Taylor. That's the character he plays. It's not a personal judgment. And also voice actress Karen Whitfield, who I understand is a delight. Also cartoonist and writer Guy Gilchrist, who's done Nancy and also the Muppet Babies comic strip and other wonderful features. Also artist Jim Hall, Richard Kneck, who wrote a lot of the Dragonlance books, and also artist Timothy Chasen. We're going to be there Saturday, July 16th, 2022, from about 10 to 4, and there will also be a panel on writing and creation, hosted by me. And those things always wind up being a lot of fun, so please check us out. And if you want to follow anything I'm doing, check us out on risingtide.pub. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors tonight, one of whom is Rising Tide Publications. Check out the Terrors later this summer. And also the aforementioned Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Whether it's paperbacks, hardcovers, or comic books, Jeffrey Hayes can handle all the graphics you need to sell them and to make them look beautiful to the public. So check out the Plasma Fire Graphics Facebook page, then go over to plasmafiregraphics.com and contact Jeffrey about his indie creator-friendly pricing. You'll be glad you did. That is plasmafiregraphics.com. When the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. Also, speaking of readers, we want to thank our Patreon supporters at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. We offer all kinds of stuff in exchange for your support on a monthly basis. And $1 will get you our twice weekly blog. Every blog deserves a name. $5 or more a month will get you access to our works in progress, such as the recently finished first draft of Terrors, and now the first draft of Volcana 2, the Prometheus frame-up. And also, if you miss us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Nevermind the Furthermore, now with Nick Tockert. But if you miss me in the mornings, check out the Facebook page, because we just made an announcement about getting to see some of the new stuff I do online before anyone else. So we're going to be starting that soon as we get the editing done on the Terrors. But anyway, what we're also going to do is next week we're going to come back here. We're going to review some more comics and have some more fun. We hope you join us. And so we'll see you next week. And as always, remember, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everybody. We will see you this coming Thursday on I almost said Nevermind the Furthermore. I'm so used to saying that. I gotta get that out of my head. Anyway, we'll see you next Thursday at Comic Book Spectrum. Have a good week, everybody, and keep reading those comics. They're good for you.
Thank you for watching Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Please join us next week for another look at comics, past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this, please give the show a like and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. To receive our free monthly newsletter, go to www.risingtide.pub and be sure to give the Rising Tide Broadcast Network page on Facebook a like in order to receive news about upcoming shows, including Clever Title Pending, Stupid O'Clock, Clever as Hail, Comics Chaos and Sass, Tidbits and Scribbles, the Historical Fencing Guild, and Nevermind the Furthermore. See you next week.